right, everybody. What's up? How's it going? We're really tired, and we're doing this live. So, what's up? How's it going, Nance?
Chilling, man. Fucking just percolating my thoughts from earlier this morning. Conversation, the critical doxology and time energy discussion group. We had a great conversation this morning. A lot to think about, and I'm excited on it. And also that long piece of writing that we've been waiting is finally available. And I said I was going to start reading it tonight. I started reading a little bit earlier. I'm excited. There's a lot going on over here in the wide world of Theory Underground. I'm stoked.
Yeah, Nance and I are both a part of the secret review committee for a very important blog post that's about to drop off of the only relevant blog in the world today. Just kidding. Actually, there's also Agent Swarm, but besides him, it's just a dangerous baby. And there's a really cool post about to drop in a couple days. So I hope that you're planning out a nice date at a coffee shop, not with another human being, but with a piece of paper that you'll probably print off from a machine somewhere, or a tablet, or I don't know. How the fuck do people read blogs? Your laptop, I guess?
Yeah, dude. A tablet. I mean, you could read it on a phone. It's a long one. Probably tablet.
Good luck.
Laptop. I think on my Kindle, I can like go to web pages on my Kindle, but it's like the paper page one that is hard to actually like use other than for reading books. But yeah, find a way, people. Find a way to read the forthcoming blog post. It's going to be the shit.
Yeah. I'm also really excited to announce that me doing this live right now means something. Is anybody aware of what that means? Did anybody go, if you're doing this live right now, then you're not at work, Dave? That's right. I'm not at Amazon right now. I'm not even there. Normally, so for people who are just joining for the first time, Capital Mondays goes down on Sundays. Why does that? That doesn't make any sense, right? Of course it doesn't make any sense. Well, except that the idea is that this is where the two of us are like, yeah, we're going to do something Capital related every Monday. And then we release it on Sunday when I'm at work listening. I listen back to our conversation, and then I'm there in the premiere chat. Now, there have been times where people pop in on that and think it's a live stream, because you can confuse a live chat and a premiere chat. But no, that's always been a premiere. It's never been a live chat. This today is the first time the Capital Mondays has just been live and has had a live chat, meaning that you can say, hi, Dave. Hi, Nance. Congratulations on not being at work right now. Thank you. It is great, isn't it? That should actually be like the way that we say, salutations as workers. We should say, congratulations. And that person goes, what? Oh, you're not at work right now. And the person goes, fuck. You're right. But for me, it's got special significance, because it's not just like you're seeing me out on my day off. This is my actual scheduled time to be working. I am supposed to be there right now, but I took VTO, and I keep taking VTO. I keep taking VTO, which is voluntary time off, because I'm almost making enough money through my subscribers for the people who want to do the weekly and monthly stuff at Theory Underground, and the people taking courses to be able to pay my share of the rent and just focus on Theory Underground stuff. And so I've been doing a lot of restructuring in the background. I guess this is the first time I'll just publicly say what you see at Theory Underground, if you go to the website or the app right now, it's a model of kind of something that could be there if we had enough money. But for right now, because it's so slow, and because it's so buggy, and because I don't have a dedicated team of programmers, it ain't it. And so we're doing something different. We've opened up a Discord for subscribers only. And all the courses are in there. All the syllabuses are in there. All of the information people need to be able to participate in any of the weekly or monthly events is in there. And speedier communication and the ability to communicate just without the agonizing, buggy bullshit that some people were facing on the app and or site. So that's out of the way. And I have set that up because I wasn't working, right? And I've been able to focus on a lot of really cool shit because I'm not working. Anything you want to say about that before we get into the next thing there, Nance?
I am actually excited to be able to have better communication with other members in the courses and the forums and the groups. The app and the website are just such a barrier to having like prolonged backs and forths with people, because there have been so many bugs and so many issues and stuff. So I'm excited about having just better communication with the other people. For people that aren't always able to make it to the calls and always be there live, it is nice to be able to DM them and stuff like that. And there's been a lot of bugs, and it's been a bummer. So I am actually stoked to be using Discord, which it's a tried and true platform for that type of thing. So I'm looking forward to that, to how that's gonna re-inject some life into some of the groups and forums and stuff.
Yeah. And it's not the end point, it's a intermediary point. I described it as like if a church was unable to afford the lease because the property rents went up so much that the pastor would have to take on another job just to that, and then they're like, hey, let's just start meeting out of somebody's house for a while, and then we'll move back into some other brick and mortar spot once we find the right setup. Because that's what this is. It's a temporary holdover between places. Okay, well, with that said, hope to see you as a subscriber or patron soon, and then we'll add you to the Discord. It'll be great. But in the meantime, let's get into it. So, first point of order, Capital Mondays is a day that things happens. It's also been the name of the podcast because we didn't bother coming up with a real name. You know it's not a real name if it doesn't mean something to an outsider. That's where it's just kind of an inside joke. Well, we're going to call it this because this is when we do it. And then the real joke is that we don't even usually do it on Mondays. So, it's been like this sort of floater event that's hopefully going to get nailed down as of today. So I think from now on, it's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Hope that's going to work for you, Daniel. I know your schedule can be a little fucky. You got things to do. You got priorities, your dad, husband, etc. But we're hoping that this will work for a lot of the busy guys who are doing Capital Mondays. But doing Capital Mondays is one thing. But what's the name of the show? Well, I'm going to put it right here. The new...
the Lightning Sharks. Oh, no, wait. We figured, since the name is already meaningless to people who aren't already looped in on it, let's just call it Lightning Sharks.
Yeah. Why not? I think that should be like real. That should be like our shibboleth. Like if someone says, "Oh yeah, I love Theory Underground," you go, "Yeah, man, I've been listening to Lightning Sharks." And if they don't know what that is, then you just go, "Nah, you don't fucking know what you're talking." No, the new name is put your hands together for.
Hold on, wait. You got to build this up.
It's already on the screen.
I was actually.
Okay, all right. Well, I took it off the screen. Nope, it's off the screen. Nope. Go.
I was fucking surprised as hell to learn that this name was not already taken on some platforms. I don't know. It being, I don't know, maybe one of the most popular, recognizable formulas, math themes, whatever you want to call them, in, I don't know, the left world. And nobody has thought let's use that for something. It was mind blowing when it was wide open. I was like, dude, that is actually really fucking crazy that no one is using that for anything. Yeah, I don't know. And it is dope. And I actually, the logo's dope. Recently Theory Underground itself had some legal woes with the London Underground.
Yeah.
They were like, they sent a letter. They were like, pip, pip, cheerio. Use copyright infringed.
3 letters.
3.
They've sent me 3 letters in the last like week and a half complaining about how the Theory Underground logo is a ripoff of their London Underground transportation trademark. And it does resemble it, but it's also different. And so, first of all, I think I could have won a lawsuit. Second of all, I'm not even sure they could take me to court because I'm not based out of
jurisdiction, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a United States entity. They're a United Kingdom entity. The way international copyright law works, it's not that way. So you could have beat it, but also it's not worth fighting it. But I brought that up because in the name of what used to be Capital Mondays and is now this new name, there's another shout out to a pre-existing copyright, and I'm hoping it doesn't. I don't think it will. I'm pretty sure it won't. But it's very fitting. Like it's awesome. Like the name, it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And there's some cool serendipity that comes along with the name as well.
So can I show it now?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Here we go. Unveiling it. Here we go. CMC Prime. That's right. Nobody thought to take CMC Prime for the name of their podcast before us, apparently. So, yeah, CMC Prime. It's the name of our podcast now. Like, that's kind of crazy. It's like, here's the thing. It's like, if that doesn't mean anything to you, then welcome to reading Kapital. But everyone who tries to read it does know what it means. And it's cool to me that anybody who's like kind of going down that rabbit hole, if they see it, then they'll know. Right? Anybody who's been going down that rabbit hole, if they see it, they're going to go, oh shit. Right? And of course you could spell it out. EMSEE. Right? Or, sorry, no, it would be SEEEMSEE Prime. And you just spell out the words, right? But no, it's actually just CMC Prime. And that's the new podcast logo, profile pic, thingy majigger, whatever. There you go, everybody. Stoked to have that. So Capital Mondays has evolved, and it's going to evolve even more. So probably in a little while, at any point, like Sahil is imminent. He's going to come and he's going to tell you all about the plan. What's the plan? Fucking wait. You'll find out. In the meantime, we're going to start reading the comment section where Sahil and Rudy and Theo all started kind of going back and forth on the value form. Because we haven't read that stuff out over the podcast yet. We've made references to it, but now let's just get into it. You want to read it?
So this is Sahil's first intervention on the first video where we were reading Fred Mosley's The Theory of Value and Marxist Capital. And he left this comment on that first video. First, a small point. With the reference to S. Bailey, Mosley is anticipating Marxist comments in footnote 25 in chapter 1. I'm not Mosley or Heinrich, so in the end, obviously go ahead and ask them these questions. But I can clearly see that at least a few reasons why you're missing the point. You read Mosley as ontologizing value, thereby taking the bait, so to say, and falling for the fetish that value is, as against an objectively true or real thing. It is, instead, a phantom-like objectivity, you pointed out. The mistake here is that you are thinking of Marx's notion of the fetish as located within our heads, as a misreading, misunderstanding, or a confusion based in thought. That is a mistake. This is a point readers of Zizek should be alert to, as his whole notion of ideology is based on this. It is not that value as a fetish is an illusion covering up or hiding the true state of affairs, that say the source of value in truth is concrete labor or nature or something else instead. If it were so, the illusion of value should disappear as soon as its secret is revealed. And yet, value continues to function in the real world unconcerned with our demystification of it. The problem instead is rather this, that our social reality itself already turns into a socially objective truth. This abstract thing, or what Marx calls a suprasensible or social thing. The Penguin translation doesn't capture the nuance of that statement. Or, sinnlich überschnittene oder geschliffte Dinge, literally translated sensuous, supersensuous, or social thing. So, while it is true that value as the social form of the products of our labor is not an ontological truth, in the sense of a transcendental or transhistorical truth, but a socially ontological truth in the sense that A, it is historical, and B, it is supported by our present social being. Remember, for Marx, it is our social being that determines consciousness. Toward the point A above, see Marx's footnote 34 in chapter 1. In short, the point is that value is contradictory. It is both real and unreal, sensuous and transcends sensuousness, objective yet phantom-like, which is why in the opening of section 4 of chapter 1, Marx says, this thing that at first sight looks like an ordinary thing at close inspection is full of metaphysical subtleties and theological niceties. It is because value, as an abstract substance, contradiction in terms yet real, is a truth of our social being, that all products of our labor turn into value at the point of production itself, before they actually even enter the actual exchange process. In a metaphysical way, they embody the exchange relation or exchangeability in their physical being prior to their practical exchange in the market. Man, I'd write a whole essay on this if it hadn't already been said by so many other better writers than myself. The only reason I comment here is because I appreciate what you're doing, but then also can't see you totally miss this really important point. This is all I can write for now, but happy to talk further at another time. I will, however, leave with these two references for this discussion. Here, Lietz and Schwartz's recent article, Value Exchange, and Heinrich's new reading of Marx, published in the Historical Materialism Journal, and Pulthik Ghosh's 3 provisional theses on Marx's concept of value.
Did you see the problem while you were reading that? Did it occur to you?
The scrolling?
No, you did great. The issue was that I said, "Oh yeah, let's we've never read this before." No, we did read that before. We have read, everybody. I hope if you've been along for the ride, you know that was Sahil's very first thing that he ever said, which we then read.
Yeah.
We did read it, and then it wasn't live on YouTube, but he came in on the Twitch side where no one ever is, by the way. And he just happened to be there when we read his comment and engaged with it seriously. And that's when we brought him on and we've had a great conversation, blah, blah, blah. Where he starts going back and forth with Theo and Rudy is a different video, but we should go ahead and read the back and forth in the comment section of that one still. So let's finish it out. Let's do it all chronologically. Like good historians. All right. I said, don't sell yourself short. This is exactly the kind of engagement we seek to cultivate. Your essay might be a rehashing to some degree, but facts and knowledge from this field do not exist objectively out there, but between us and the world, as in this space. You're the first to say it this way, and that's what matters, because otherwise this space would be poorer for it. And then I came back and I said, I'll think about your criticism. If you'd asked me point blank that I think fetishism happens in our heads and is simply about mistaking something, I would have said no, because I know that's not it. But if I slipped into saying things that way, then that's good to know. Now, at the time that I said that, I think I was just like, I don't know. I don't have time to go back over all this shit. But I still haven't had time to go back over all this shit. But I think it's true. I was saying things that way. And I think I slip into kind of talking about it that way. And I'm still trying to articulate why that happens. But anyway, let's get into it. So, Me Panther is Theo, right? And what did he say? Do we know which of these came first? We sadly don't have times on them.
I think this one came first. I think the top one came first.
Okay.
And then so Theo says there are two obvious objections to the labor theory of value. For one, things are also exchanged that are not products of labor, for example, virgin soil. For another, there are certain products of labor, such as works of art, whose exchange value is completely independent of the labor time expended for their production. Regarding the first point, it should be noted that the labor theory of value only explains the value of products of labor. Things that are not products of labor do not possess a value. If they're exchanged, they have an exchange value or price, but no value. And this exchange value has to then be explained separately. Marx did this in volume 3 of Kapital. He also does mention it. Pretty sure he mentions it right there in chapter 1. Heinrich into the 3 volumes, page 42. Is Theo quoting Heinrich? I don't know. And then this other comment.
I think so, right?
Yeah, must be. That must be it. And then the second comment: if under the conditions of commodity production, the distribution of privately expended labor onto individual branches of production is mediated by the value of commodities, conscious regulation or distribution predetermined by tradition do not exist. Then, the interesting question is how this is at all possible, or stated more generally, how privately expended labor becomes a component part of the total labor of society. So, value theory doesn't prove that an individual act of exchange is determined by the productively necessary quantity of labor. Rather, it should explain the specific social character of commodity producing labor, and Marx does this mainly beyond the first 7 pages of Kapital discussed above, which traditional Marxism, as well as many critics of Marx, take to be the most important for Marx's value theory. Again, Heinrich, there's a footnote. Note, in the 3rd volume of Kapital, Marx demonstrates that the actual exchange relationships in no way correspond to the amount of labor, which, okay, yeah. So it looks like Theo was adding some context for Heinrich. Was it here on the second Mosley video where the... I think you're muted, dude.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the next one. When it gets to... when it comes to a head.
No, it's not that one.
What the
But
hell?
that was where Daniel showed some love.
Yeah, man. This is where Daniel wrote us a little essay. And by the way, shout out to Daniel of OG Rose. Check out his Substack. I think he's got 3 parts, maybe 4 at this point, for his the situation with Kapital. The guy is writing up a storm, man. Is that what would happen if we got rid of our smartphones? Would we write as much as Daniel? Because he doesn't have a smartphone, man. I think he knows what's up. There we go.
Maybe in a perfect world, but I don't think I have the endurance to do as much work as he does, because he does just bang shit out.
Really quick, guys. This interaction, the reason we're focusing on it right now, the reason we had to like dig up what video did it actually occur in, what comment section did it actually take place, is because it's legendary. Just wanted to say, like, Theo, Rudy, and Sahil all kind of revealed their power levels in this conversation. So let's get into it.
So Sahil says, let me preface my comment by first saying that it can become an endless game of chicken or egg unless the dialectical reversals involved between exchange and production are understood.
Hold on. Isn't this, he's saying that in response to Theo and Rudy, right? It might be showing it first, but that's not first. I think he's responding to them. So, and Daniel's pretty much just encouraging everybody. So where's the real like argument here against the Sahelian position? And I think it's Theo comes in with parts 1, 2, and 3. So
yeah.
So hats
off.
off.
This is all out of order.
Yeah, it is all fucked.
Okay.
Actually, I hate YouTube's comment section shit. Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to read Theo's. What's more, okay, this is a quote. What's more, value is not at all a property that an individual thing possesses in and of itself. The substance of value that constitutes the foundation of this objectivity is not inherent to individual commodities, but is bestowed mutually in the act of exchange. The most emphatic statement on this by Marx can be found in his revised manuscript to the first edition. There he states that when a coat is exchanged for linen, then both are reduced to an objectification of human labor per se. However, it should not be forgotten that none of both is in and of itself value objectivity. They are this only insofar as this objectivity is commonly held by them. Outside of their relationship with each other, the relationship in which they are equalized, neither coat nor linen possess value objectivity or objectivity as congelations of human labor per se. Okay, end quote. Now, I know I've got a lot of followers here who don't keep up with Capital Mondays. If you're just popping in to say hi, what's up? I'm not going to sit here and break down everything going on. I'm going to kind of assume that you've been along for the ride, which is kind of a bad move sometimes with live streams, but that's what we do, is we fuck up the algorithm and ruin everybody's day. So don't worry about it. If this is hurting your brain, just take a nap and come back when you got your big boy pants on. All right. As a consequence, a product of labor considered in isolation is not value, nor is it a commodity. It only becomes value in its unity with another product of labor. Like, yeah, he's just like quote mining the best fucking quotes here. Like, absolutely, Theo just nailing it. Mike, so this is all Mihail Heinrich, an introduction to 3 volumes of Kapital, page 53, which was, you know, what we spent the first 2 or 3 sessions of Capital Mondays on back in the day. What did I say in the comments to that? Supposedly? Allegedly? I said, hey, Me Panther, if you're on the TU site or app, can you DM me? He said, absolutely. I'll sign up on the TU site and contact you later on in the day. That was back before Theo was like there for everything. Wow. It's crazy. How long ago was this? A month ago? Theo feels like he's been around for a while, man. All right. Second part. This is more Theo quotes, or I'm guessing. Can we peek below? Is this all for Mihail Heinrich?
Yeah.
It is.
That's all Heinrich, and
the other one will be as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. In the case of value, a property that only exists within a relationship appeals to be an objective property that is also inherent outside of this relationship. If we attempt to locate this objectivity outside of the exchange relationship, it eludes our grasp. The objectivity of value is quite literally a spectral objectivity. Traditional Marxism was also taken in by the illusion that value is a property of an individual commodity. The substance of value was understood in a substantialist way, as a property of an individual commodity. The magnitude of value was also understood as a property of an individual commodity, and it was believed to be determined independent of the exchange process by the quantity of socially necessary labor time expended in the production of the commodity. Conceptions that emphasized the importance of exchange were accused of advancing a circulation theory of value, and thus of approaching value by placing emphasis on a supposedly negligible aspect. And then he goes on page 54. The magnitude of value is not yet determined before exchange, but also does not emerge coincidentally during the exchange act. It is the result of the threefold reduction outlined in the previous section of privately expended individual labor to abstract labor. The magnitude of value of a commodity is not simply a relationship between the individual labor of the producer and the product, which is what the substantialist conception of value amounts to, but rather a relationship between the individual labor of producers and the total labor of society. Exchange does not produce value, but rather mediates this relation to the total labor of society. However, in a society based upon private production, this act of mediation can only occur in the act of exchange and nowhere else. And when I say this is the kind of engagement we love, everybody, I just got to say, it's because it's like directly on the actual subject matter. It's actually pulling quotes from the stuff that we've read. Don't come at us with walls of text like this if it's not directly related to what we're doing. It's literally the content. It's literally the content, not the form in this case. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want essays about hour class traders. We won't engage with those.
I kind of do, actually.
Yeah, I definitely want it.
The people who are calling me a class trader need to.
Yeah.
Well, I might read them for fun, on stream. Like, that'd be great. Yeah. But I get these messages now, it's this whole money realism thing. It's sacrilegious to some people. If anybody's curious about that, go check out the whole conversation with Chris Catrone. Get to that part where I talked about being realists about capital, but not capitalist realists. That's the shit. And we're taking proposals. If you want to write about that, taking proposals on that topic for the conference in October, which is happening in Mexico now, motherfuckers. Yeah, that's also some news, but we'll get into that later. All right. Note continues. As an intended proof of the supposition that Marx sees value already established through production and before the Exchange Act, he's often quoted to the effect that it is not the exchange of commodities which regulates the magnitude of their values, but rather the reverse, the magnitude of the value of commodities which regulates the proportion in which they exchange. This overlooks that this deals with a relation of regulation and not a temporal relation. First there's value, then exchange occurs. As far as the temporal connection is concerned, Marx clearly states, quote, "It is only by being exchanged that the products of labor acquire a socially uniform objectivity as values, which is distinct from their sensuously varied objectivity as articles of utility." End quote. For the producers of commodities, the objectivity of value plays a decisive role, which is why, quote, "their character as values has already to be taken into consideration during production." End quote. The fact that value is taken into consideration, the future value of a commodity estimated by the producers, is something different than if this value were something pre-existing. And then, of course, that's where Rudy comes in here and says, "I completely agree." And this was back before we knew Rudy too. So let's see. Sahil sent me a text message. He said in the comments, select sort by, then newest first. That should rearrange the comments chronologically. Well, that would have helped.
I don't know how to. Yeah.
Click the button. Do the thing.
Newest first.
I need a new sound bite for when I'm telling Nance what to do. It's gonna be a whip sound.
Which,
Yeah. Click the button, do the thing.
okay. Well, wait a minute. Okay, wait, hold on. No, hold on. Newest first
So we'd have to go to the
means
bottom.
that the first will be at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer jumping around.
And I like how there's this other Sahil Kumar who's also into Theory Underground. So I feel
Yeah, dude.
I feel bad for Sahil. I'm not sure which one I feel worse for because they both have the same name. And here we've got this Sahil blowing up the spot. Like this other guy's like, I'll never be anything at a Theory Underground because this other Sahil is so badass. It's one thing to like follow someone else who just did something cool. It's another thing when you have the exact same name. So my heart goes out to you, to the other Sahil.
There can only be one, dude. They're gonna have an epic Highlander death match at some point, and that sucks. I don't want anyone to have to die.
No, I don't want
this.
I don't want them to have to, but you know, necessity is necessity. Do you want to?
I mean,
you're a mod, right? Do you want to block the other Sahil?
sorry, dude.
Bye.
Name already taken.
Get your own name.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, I didn't know any
so
Sahils at all for this year.
So Sahil, yeah, I don't think I did either. Sahil then responds to Theo.
Yeah, here we go.
With this, let me preface my comment by first saying that it can become an endless game of chicken or egg unless the dialectical reversals involved between exchange and production are understood. For which I can only recommend Hothik Ghosh's essay I linked to in my comment on the Mosley Part 1 video. But here's one preliminary haphazardly stitched together response to the 3 notes above by Me Panther with Heinrich's quotes of Marx. To approach this, let's keep in mind Marx's order of presentation of the development of the various forms as they move from the most abstract to increasing levels of concrete. I'll mainly highlight 2 aspects here. The first, Marx's analysis of the exchange relation before his analysis of the process of exchange, and the second, his acknowledgement of the given fact of societies where the capitalist mode of production prevails, before approaching the analysis of the commodity. Point 1 in the first chapter, Marx is not talking about real empirical acts of exchange, something he won't get to until the second chapter, the process of exchange. So what does Marx mean by his investigations of the exchange relation already in the first chapter if commodities have not yet entered the real process of exchange consisting of actual empirical acts of exchange? The exchange relation is something different from real empirical acts of exchange, to indicate which Marx uses the term exchangeability in the first chapter. How can any commodity exist in an exchange relation or with the property of exchangeability if it has not yet interacted with another commodity in the actuality of the process of exchange? Because of the commensurability provided to it by its substance, i.e., abstract labor. In its embryo form, as the most simple and abstract form, or as a pure substance, prior to its manifestation in any other commodity with which it may come into relation, it already contains the exchangeable character, meaning the fact that the commodity is a product of abstract labor already makes it exchangeable and brings it into a relation of exchange with all other products of labor, given that all other products of labor, irrespective of the diversity of concrete labors they may be products of, are all products of this abstract, homogeneous, common substance, labor. It can satisfy the manifold needs of the individual producer himself only insofar as every particular kind of useful private labor can be exchanged with, counts as the equal of every other kind of useful private labor. From page 166 of Kapital. It is this homogeneity that gives a commodity its exchangeability, allows it to enter any real exchange relation. Marx, quoting Marx, our analysis has shown that the form of value that is, the expression of the value of a commodity arises from the nature of commodity value, as opposed to value and its magnitude arising from their mode of expression as exchange value. The second view is the delusion, both of the mercantilists and their antipodes, the modern bagmen of free trade. The mercantilists place their main emphasis on the qualitative side of the expression of value, hence, on the equivalent form of the commodity, which in its finished form is money. The modern peddlers of free trade, on the other hand, who must get rid of their commodities at any price, stress the quantitative side of the relative form of value. For them, accordingly, there exists neither value nor magnitude of value anywhere except in its expression by means of the exchange relation, that is, in the daily list of prices current on the stock exchange. From page 152 and 53. Just like the reversals seen earlier in the three peculiarities of the form of value, where the concrete form of labor becomes the form of manifestation of its opposite, abstract labor, the use value of a commodity becomes the form of manifestation of the value of the other, etc., after exchange has acquired a sufficient extension. The relationship between where value arises out of also changes. From that moment, the product already becomes a commodity. It is only by being exchanged that the products of labor acquire a socially uniform objectivity as values, which is distinct from their sensuously varied objectivity as articles of utility. This division of the product of labor into a useful thing and a thing possessing value appears in practice only when exchange has already acquired a sufficient extension and importance to allow useful things to be produced for the purpose of being exchanged, so that their character as values has already to be taken into consideration during production. From this moment on, the labor of the individual producer acquires a twofold social character. And this moment, i.e., exchange acquiring sufficient extension, is signaled by Marx right at the beginning of his investigation with the first sentence. In societies where the capitalist mode of production prevails. Point the second. Regarding Marx's order of presentation, he begins with the givenness of the fact of capitalist societies where production is already capitalist, or production of value. A side note on value being realized or becoming real only in exchange. This value, obviously, will be realized only in the real empirical act of exchange, which will occur in the second chapter. But what does this realization mean? To see what becoming real or being realized means for Marx, let's take a look at how use value becomes real for Marx in the first section. Use value is constituted by the physical, material, sensuous properties of the commodity. These properties, although they constitute the use value of the commodity, that use value until this moment is only potential and is realized only when the product is used or consumed. The use value realizes itself in use or in its consumption. This consumption, however, is also its destruction. It is the same with value. In the real act of exchange, value is realized because it realizes its function purpose as the homogeneous commensurable substance of value. This fact, however, does not disqualify the phantom-like or social materiality, its prior existence as the substance that makes possible its realization. I do have to say that when Sahil came on and graced us, the way he broke it down clicked for me. Like before, I heard him actually kind of explain, like, no, it's like this retroactive operation essentially. Like that's what he's saying. It's this thing that's retroactively posited and this and that and like that's basically how I see it too. And the fact that he was able to demonstrate that really, I don't know, like he rescued this position that I was just like, oh, these labor theory of value guys. Before interacting with Sahil, I hadn't really taken the time to interact with someone who had a robust version of the labor theory of value. It was just kind of like leftoids on the internet. So he did a lot of work. He's done a lot of work. Um, Oh, you're still muted.
I think right now is the moment to summon Sahil. So, Sahil, I know by the time you hear this, just jump in. We'll start reading this, but I want you to be here so I can, because he's going to make a quick little announcement, give you all a sense for what's going down with the plan. It won't take very long because he's got some stuff he's got to go do, but he should be here in a sec. Yeah, actually, there we go. There he is. Yeah, you know, we're not gonna read the rest of it until after Sahil's had to run, because he'll have to go in a sec. So you want to stop sharing for a second there?
Yeah, man.
And then it'll fix the screen. All right.
Sahil, what's happening, man? Good to see you.
Good to Sahil you.
Good to see you guys too.
Yeah, how's it going, man? Welcome.
Good.
Welcome to CMC Prime.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. New name.
Yeah, man. New name, same game.
Yeah.
But there's a new plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give people the quick version of what the average month at Theory Underground is going to look like, assuming all goes well. And then Sahil will tell you how to prepare if you are one of the boys, or if you're looking to get involved with them. You don't have to be a boy to get involved with them, but it is currently a bunch of guys. So you have to be the kind of gal who likes to rough it up with the guys a bit, you know, like the kind of gal who goes and does firefighting. Like, yeah, you're welcome. You can kick it with us.
You got to be a bitch in the pit.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't even know that song, you don't qualify. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't know that song until you showed me that shit on tour. But here's the plan, folks. So right now with the Critical Media Theory Seminar and the Critical Doxology and Time Energy Seminars, CMT and CDT respectively, what we do is we meet on the second and fourth Sundays of every month, always at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is noon Eastern time. Okay? That sort of just like, oh, that's for sure. That's when that happens. And then the discussion is kind of a floater, happens on different weeks. That's been great. It gives people the time to prepare, right? Or it gives them the time to reflect. And so that's where the best discussions at Theory Underground have happened. It's when people have done a lecture session or two, they've taken some notes, they thought about it, and then they come prepared to talk a few weeks later. Well, taking that model to what we've been doing with Kapital Mondays, the idea was to somehow open it up so that everyone who is getting involved would be able to participate. We've got Ken, we've got Theo, Rudy, we've got Daniel, we've got Sahil. I think I'm probably missing a couple people off the top of my head here, but there's going to be more over time. And it was when I was realizing, because I honestly kind of didn't really think that, I figured this was going to be just for me and Nance, and I didn't think anyone would actually watch these in their entirety or do the readings themselves. I don't know why I thought that, but I just was just like, oh, we're just doing this. But once I realized there's actual Theory Underground people who are there for it, I was like, oh, why don't we make this more of a thing like the CMT or CDT stuff, since that's been so good. And originally, this was all building up for a short course I was going to teach on Kapital. It was kind of whipping me into shape for that. And then when Sahil and I were talking behind the scenes after that first time we had him on, we were talking about, he does lecture, he does teach. And I was like, dude, you should teach this shit, And I also, there's other stuff that I want him to teach as well. But basically, I was still hesitant to kind of like hand the reins over, because for me, I'm like, well, I want to lecture on Kapital. I want to do it first. But then I'm like, no, but I'm whipping myself into shape to do that like in 2025. So in the meantime, I feel like I'm getting this crash course from you, Sahil, in everything you've done. And I think it's awesome. And so I want to set you up to be able to do more of it. And if you've already had the itch and you've even tried to organize stuff so that you could do this more, and it just was like too much for you with your schedule, I'm like, fuck it, man. Let's synergize here. And so the basic idea, folks, is that Sahil on the first Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern time is going to give a lecture to the Capital Mondays crew, which is obviously still a shorthand for CMC Prime, the new name. And then for the following weeks, Nance and I will be doing around that time every week. We will be doing the readings that we're lectured on, and then on the final Monday of every month at that time at 5 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have a discussion, and at the discussion, that's when anybody who is a subscriber or who has enrolled in the Kapital seminar is going to be able to participate. Now, you'll also be able to participate in the Q&A section at the end of the lectures on the first Monday. And then that's basically the plan. I'm really stoked about it. And Sahil, basically, what do you want to tell us as far as expectations or how you want to go about it?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Look, yeah, I think, I mean, I had been to an extent, preparing for something like this. I mean, I also sort of do similar things, with some people over here. So I was like, turns out, okay, we can, sort of collectively make that happen here, right? And yeah, I think the idea is so every Monday, so I will sort of give, both a kind of a summary overview, sort of, contextualize, locate, like essentially the text, mostly the text itself. So as we are beginning from the beginning, first chapters of Kapital, but already, I mean, before we actually jump into the first chapter, like laying out the plan in a sense, what Marx is really visualizing, right? Like with the 3 volumes and even more, like the stuff that he couldn't really get to, right? But like the totality of it, and then beginning from that first chapter, like in terms of his methodology, like what is he doing, we can, within that we can think about a few things, for example, that Chris himself said, right? How the important thing, or the special thing about Marx is the strangeness of Marx, as he said it in that one, right? Which is basically this kind of general level exposition of Kapital that Marx is doing in this, and then in a sense, from this abstract level, how Marx is going to develop to the concrete forms in which it presents itself, and how they keep on changing and all of that, right? So sort of framing it in those terms, and then so that when we look at specific the text itself, the first chapter, when we begin, okay, what are certain things that we need to keep an eye on specifically? Because the thing with Kapital is that first time you read it, it's like, and that's how it happened with me too. First time I read it, it was like, yeah, I get it, I can see, I'm following it. And yet at the same time, there was also partly a kind of a nagging feeling that, but there's something more in here that I'm somehow missing. I don't yet see exactly how. It's only after going through a lot more other things, or like, yeah, through certain practice and reading, that you then come back to that same thing, and suddenly you also start seeing, okay, no, there's more to the text, right? And but yeah, that in the first reading, oftentimes it happens, it's not easy to pay attention to certain things, and certain logic that is functioning there, or how, yeah. So my idea will be, in the lectures, to sort of lay that out, zoom in on certain concepts, also sort of expand on them. I mean, in a sense, Marx is already doing that, but it oftentimes, and also given the time that it has already passed, and in the context that has changed and everything, yeah, we need to sort of keep rereading it with sort of different lenses oftentimes, right? So yeah, that would be, I think, for now, that's the idea. I don't know.
No, 100%. That is the issue, is that just reading it on your own, I think it lends itself to a danger, which I would describe as the Protestant, like the sort of Protestant, like reading the Bible, like, oh, I understand the Bible, I just need the Holy Spirit and I can read the Bible, right? Like that kind of approach is like a very American thing, because Americans are so functionally illiterate and time energy stultified, like that we're just like, oh yeah, I'll just read it, and what it says off the first read, that is what it is. And like learning how to read is kind of part of like learning how to be a human, right? Like learning how to detool ourselves, to de-instrumentalize ourselves, and to kind of like realize that there's so much more in a text like this. And it does take others who've been there before, not just on their own, but have kind of surveyed the field and understand like these tensions and contradictions. And so, yeah, man. And so, your first lecture is going to be tomorrow. And, I guess, that's really exciting. So, congratulations. And, everybody, I hope that you're excited. Daniel and Theo and Rudy and Ken. And look, if you want to be a part of it and you're a subscriber, just let me know. I'll put your email address on the list. If you don't even know how to become a subscriber or whatever, well, then just hit me up, either an email or on the site, whatever. Or maybe you'll figure it out on the store from the site itself. Don't subscribe through the app. We're trying to get rid of the app. We're trying to phase that out. And so just go to the Theory Underground store and you'll figure it out from there. Anyway, with that said, what would a person have to do to prepare for tomorrow's lecture?
Okay, yeah. Well, the idea is you don't really have to, like, the sort of part of the preparation, or rather, let's look at the lecture part as preparation for the reading, So that would be my job, in a sense, to prepare, the grounds, so that because look, there's no alternative to doing the actual reading, obviously, right? So like the actual reading, I mean, if you're in this, you have to read it, right? So the lecture is not, an alternative to that, but it's only a way for us to both sort of try to get at the same page to whatever extent possible about the text, because oftentimes, and that's another thing that, like, it's the same text in a way, right? But it's also as many texts as many readers, it may have, right? And then unless we follow, okay, yeah, what are we all really reading exactly, like, or so which is why the Q&A and the discussion, sessions, they will all help us, arrive or come at least a common basic, understanding of, okay, this is at least the same thing that we are all looking at. And then, okay, then what are the differences, maybe, and there are, right? Like the reading, the version of Kapital that I will present, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who will have disagreements on various points. I'm not going to pretend that it's like, okay, yeah, the authoritative reading or anything like that, right? So, but yeah, like in terms of preparation, no, the idea is we begin with the lecture, so that is the preparation, but then, everybody does the reading and then we continue, right? So
Yeah, and if a person has a disagreement that they develop over the course of the first several months, they'll have opportunities to present on it. First of all, before getting too carried away with that, I hope that they will engage in the Q&A sessions, right? And then eventually present on it. And then maybe that'll be a paper for the conference or one of the anthologies, right? Because it's all very reasonable, like these kinds of disagreements. And I know there is like this position to just say, oh, well, that's all just too scholastic, you guys. That's just too scholastic. And I just think trying to understand things is what gets called scholastic, because we're in this anti-intellectual culture, So, how about you, Nance? How does it sound so far?
I'm I'm excited, man. Like I said, like I was saying, meeting Sahil was like fucking awesome. I'm excited to benefit from all the work you've put into this over the years. It's it's not like I get to be lazy, but it is like um taking a shortcut in a way, because like to be able to have you there to course correct, because like going through this and doing these readings and stuff, we are going to um have little hiccups or little mistakes and stuff. So it's always beneficial to have more trustworthy people that are engaged in this process. And I believe you are a very trustworthy person, probably just in general, but especially on this topic. So I'm very grateful. I'm very excited. And same goes for the other guys involved in the conversation too. Like I do think it's shaping up into a great group that um, is rare to find on the internet. And I'm super excited and super grateful. And I'm ready to get into it. Like I am kind of I don't want to say bummed out, because it's not being bummed out, but it is like, oh, I just want to like read and read and read and read and read. I don't like, oh, I don't want to listen to you talk. I just want to read the book. Like that's somewhere here in my mind, but also no, to have you there to course correct a little bit and lay down some signposts and like prepare the path for us. I'm happy that you're here to do that. I'm grateful that you're willing to do that with us and for us. So thank you.
I think, I mean, you guys, do what prop me up a little too much, but but I'm like definitely, more than happy to. It's my, honor and pleasure to really be, participating in this. But yeah, like, and in the end, obviously, like for me also, no, like the actual reading of the text, no, everybody go do that. That's like me talking about this is not, no. Let's all
Yeah.
definitely read the text,
Well,
right?
and I haven't like given Sahil, like bestowed upon Sahil the indefinite monopoly on being the lecturer here either. I will also be doing lectures at the point that I feel like I can prioritize it. Daniel Garner probably has a bunch of lectures up his sleeve. Sahil could easily drop out for 5 months and then come back. Because that's the grad school life, man. And I understand we were talking about this behind the scenes. There will be probably months where you aren't able to do it. And we've already kind of planned that shit out. We already have contingency plans, blah, blah, blah. But the fact is you doing this, just to kind of take you down a level, is, you doing this is plan B. Okay. So our plan A isn't working right now because I just have to prioritize in a sort of way that wasn't preempted. But no, I think this is the ideal scenario at the same time. I think that this is like contingency is usually like the coolest shit ever if you can find a way to make it work well. And Nance, we haven't done as much reading as we're gonna be doing because I haven't had my time, energy, and I've also been going through this restructuration of the platform. But I'm cutting dead weight. I am taking redundancies and I am eliminating them. I fired 6 people yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody works here. But no, I am eliminating redundancies. I'm streamlining the fuck out of shit. I am going hard in the restructurization. And once we're, in the clear here, there'll be a lot more of the reading. So for instance, like today, we were going to read Karitani. We were too tired. But hey, guess what? We're not going to stay as tired. Like we're going to recoup our energy and be able to hit the books afresh next week. And I'm not going to be working. Assuming a few more people sign up, I'll be fucking Gucci. Because I did lose a handful of subscribers at the exact same time that I started making this shift, and I was like, my means of subsistence, it's under, like, but I'm like, I'm close enough that I'm able to kind of make things work right now for at least another few weeks. So, I'm just not going to go back to Amazon until I absolutely have to. So if I'm on here like crying in like 2 weeks or something, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go back. You know, you can all laugh at me, but until then, this is going to be fun. So Sahil, I don't want to keep you. I know you got to go do things. So do you have any closing things to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is the plan, and I'm really happy to be, to be able to do this, and really looking forward to it. And I guess partly I would also really like, I mean, as you were reading through, the comments and the whole discussion that had been going on, which I don't know, I feel like maybe, I don't know if you know, but like we carried this discussion forward, like beyond the YouTube comments into the website, right? So like at any point, if you continue reading this, like there's some stuff, still more stuff there, but at the same time, in the sense that, I mean, it might even be, yeah, at some point we could do a special session, or a specific one where we just, like, all of us, Rudy can be there, Theo, everybody, we just like, because what's going on there are these very specific issues, which obviously, in a certain sense, the idea with the capital reading for me is that, let's at the same time also see, right, all these debates that are happening beyond it. Okay, when we go back to the actual text, let's see what is the what's being said here in the text, right? And so read the text also in the light of those debates, and then read those debates in the light of the text too, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy, stoked. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd seen that Rudy had put like an essay on the message board, but I was not aware that there had been replies to it. So that's good news. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly, it's basically been Rudy and I going at it in that one too. But yeah, like, it might end up getting, if you actually sit down to read the whole thing. I mean, I still do think we sort of stopped right before you would have probably moved to Rudy's comments, or essay, right? But yeah, like, at least that is one essay that's already there in the comments, but the continuation of it was sort of moved on, to the website. But yeah, I think it would be nice, at least if you can also read Rudy's essay too. That was interesting.
Okay, we'll do that after you go. We'll read that. And then I'm not sure if any of the other Capital Mondays guys are listening right now and are waiting to jump in. But y'all can jump in now, or while we finish reading that out. Then we'll say a few things and we'll close out. But Sahil, sort of hijack your plans for the day. I everything had to get moved around, but thank you for prioritizing this. I know you didn't have to, and it's cool that you did. So appreciate it.
No, thank you guys, and yeah, see you, carry on, and we'll be back.
All right, see ya. All right, back. Keep it up. Let's keep going. All right. Get set up. All right, the Rudy post. Now, if this is what got reposted into the forum, there's a possibility he could have edited it slightly for the forum, which means that there's a more up-to-date version. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that up here. Or actually, maybe you need to. Yeah, you need to. So let's get into the forum there. I'll start reading it while you pull it up on a different screen. How about we do it? Yeah. So he said, I split this up into parts because TL didn't YouTube. TL:, didn't YouTube. Edit. Sahil was a good sparring partner and pointed out to me after I sent him the essay in text form that I might have accidentally left something out here in the comments. I hope it fixed that. Title. Okay, we've really come a long ways in this conversation in a short time. We're already assigning titles to our essays. So, upgrade. Title. Parading the Juggernaut of Value. In response to Sahil Kumar's intervention, the discussion and his essay here in the comments. Let me open this by saying that I greatly appreciate this whole discussion and your intervention, Sahil. It is key for me, and I think for all scholastic endeavors to truth, to be faced with the negative of one's own position. Since you put your cards on the table, I will do the same. I agree with Heinrich's basic position and analysis, and I want to contest the claim that once you understand value as arising out of the intertwined link between production and circulation, circulation comes to dominate the analysis of value. I also want to contest. Wait, hold on. I agree with. Okay, yeah. That was I think what our big concern had been as well, right? Because saying that it comes with the two doesn't mean that it puts you on that foot where you're saying it just comes from circulation, right? And that was
Yeah.
That's where I felt like, no, it's Mosley who's saying that, because he's saying he's the only one saying there's a soul source, right? Heinrich wasn't saying that. Yeah. Rudy goes on. I also want to contest your and Ghosh's concept of dialectics, and I think you claimed too soon to be out of the chicken and the egg problem in your response to Me Panther's comment 3, the third part of Theo's comment. I also have given this little YouTube comment a title, which I did because I like titles. Titles sure are pompous, but I find it fun to play pomp. They also give scope, and by that make risk more tangible. It is not meant to disrespect any prior contributions, spontaneous or carefully laid out alike. Both have their qualities. Because I do not want to assume that everybody is familiar with the term juggernaut, I will explain what this title refers to. In Das Kapital, Band 1, Chapter 7, Marx writes, translation by me, all means of the development of production turn around into means of domination and exploitation of the producer, mutilate the worker into a part human, undignify him to an appendage of the machine, destroy the content of his work by the pain of his work, alienate in the same amount from him the intellectual and spiritual, in German Geistigkeit, potentials of the work process, by which the latter science is becoming embodied into it as a self-sufficient potential. They, my reading, the means of domination and exploitation. I'll restate this clause, just saying it how he's saying it. The means of domination and exploitation deform the conditions under which he works, subjugate him during the work processes to the pickiest, meanest despotism, transmute his lifetime into labor time, throw his dame and his child under the juggernaut wheel of capital. Dude, I feel that shit. The only fucking part of my family that isn't working today is my cat, son. But my wife, yeah, she's having to work for Bezos right now. Like, come on. And people will be like, "Oh, how sexist of Marx to be concerned that women were entering the workforce." It's like, it just makes me want to blow things up when I think about that. I mean, and I mean that like, like Legos or something, like nothing real. But I'm just saying, like, it drives me crazy. Like, there's all kinds of things that women have had to suffer, but exploitation by capital should not be championed, right? my provocation, and it is meant to be a challenging and inspiring provocation, is that Mosley, Schwartz, Ghosh, and you are doing is parading around the value on top of this construction, the juggernaut. Did I skip the... No,
Nope.
we're good. Okay. Before I go into how you implicitly do this, I want to lay out some of my preconceptions of key aspects of the debate. The debate between Heinrich, Mosley, and Schwartz and Ghosh is a debate about temporality and the dialectics of temporality. The contradiction between the two positions come down to the question, is temporality only linear, or can temporality have a retroactive aspect? This has massive implications for how we develop the movement of dialectics. Is dialectics understood to be the movement of precondition of substance? Then leads to alienation of substance from itself, of substance from substance leading to the subject, which then leads to realization of the subject by expressing itself, therefore realizing its preconditioned substance, which was there before, but did not appear to us observing its movement. 2. The method of the debate between Heinrich on the one side, Mosley and Schwartz on the other, is a semiotic scholarly debate, by which I mean it is a debate about what Marx expressed with his terms. This is why Heinrich insists on translation issues, and probably is one aspect why Schwartz enters on Mosley's side, as a German Marxist agreeing with Mosley's position. Ultimately, it comes down to interpretations of the Holy Scripture handed down by St. Marx. This is my assumption, though. I want to stay as transparent as possible. I have not yet read Schwartz's critiques of Heinrich, only Mosley's, as my time and energy are as fractured just as everyone else's. It is very possible that I am missing a crucial aspect of Schwartz's contribution, though in his critique of Heinrich, Mosley does not actively reference Schwartz in the main text. I am still open to challenges on this correction. After posting this on YouTube in the comments, Schwartz is mentioned once in the main text of the chapter in Heinrich in Mosley's critique. In context of translation, Schwartz is mentioned in the footnotes. This is like, you guys are doing like this is like the scholarly sort of disagreement. I really do appreciate how hard you guys are going. Look at that. We got a couple of people joining here like an hour late. Great to have you guys. Dig Doug and Limey Redneck. What's up? What's up? Zachary Smith, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Limey says, even before entering the workforce, as social work is still unpaid, housework, child rearing, care work, etc. Yeah, but there's a big difference because it's not alienated. So when your care, is all going towards rearing your own child, you're exhausted. But as long as you love your child and you want to be in that family and you're not a captive, right? If you're not being forced into that situation, then that's rewarding. As opposed to working for shit wages and then not even being able to buy the stuff that you're producing and not even knowing what that is or what it amounts to and having no relation to what you're producing, right? There's a fundamental difference that gets erased by this particular way of talking about work in the household. Like that work in the household is the precondition for labor power being able to be exploited. Like that labor power being able to be recreated, reproduced does require this shadow work or what Nancy Fraser would call the realm of expropriation, right? It's not even exploited. It's just expropriated because it's just assumed. But also, let's not act like every housewife throughout history has been a slave, right? It's never like cut and dry, right? Like in some cases, it's like, hey, actually, you get to read and you get to spend time with the people you love. And women were civic organizers, right? Like there's this way of talking about history where it's like, no, they never left their houses. They didn't even have shoes, right? That's what I want to caution. But yeah, no, absolutely. That's real work though. That is real work. Or at least it's real labor. I don't know. We never really have decided how we're going to use those words on this show. Nance, you're squinting your face up.
No, yeah, it is real something. It definitely is turned into labor. And I don't know. The labor work distinction it's real, but I don't know.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, because we could say labor is just any kind of sustained effort, and that work is something you're paid to do. But then we're just choosing to. Yeah, you could invert the terms. You know.
Yeah, you could go the other way, but no, it is. I mean, it is a real problem, and it absolutely gets kind of erased when now, for the most part, everybody is paycheck to paycheck, and that's not even enough. And there's never enough time. There's never enough resources to have a home life in the first place. And then people turn around and act like more girl bosses is the answer. Yeah, I don't know. It's a huge question. It's a huge question facing us, and to have one simple answer like, oh yeah, just let her go get a career and be awesome. Like, yeah, that's cool. That's not going to solve anything. Like, that's just adding more labor power to the machine. Like, I don't know. It's a big question.
Limey said, I agreed. Nearly every comment I make is prefaced with "it depends." Yeah.
It does depend.
There's also the work of children contributing in the household merely for entertainment. What does that mean for entertainment? I mean, the work of getting a kid to actually learn how to do anything in the house is like itself a whole other kind of work, right?
Well, and then you have like if you, being the man of the house, come home from work and you live vicariously through your children, like okay, so one thing that pisses me off about like the current state of skateboarding is that there are these like little teenage boys and girls, like small little children, who are going to like crazy like skateboard camp, and it's like it's not even enjoyable for them. Like it becomes an outlet for their parents or for whoever to like force these demands on them. And like these kids are doing labor. Like they've turned skateboarding into labor for, you know, Monster Energy and even the Olympics now. Like they've turned it into this thing, and they're like, and it's happened with all other sports, and it happens with music, and it happens with dancing. Like it happens where like you force your kids to do some shit that should be fun. It should be cool. But it's not. Like you turn it into a job for them, and it really sucks.
Mm-hmm. Part 2. To get out of the semiotics debate, since it only gives, I think he means semantics debate, just by the way. Pretty sure. To get out of the semantics debate, since it only gives clues and also can be misleading insofar as it turns the debate into a constant battle of he said, she said, I do appreciate you moving the debate into dialectics, Sahil. I follow along and agree with you in my reading of Marx that he unfolds the notion of a commodity as something being in exchange relation to other commodities, prior to him working through empirical exchange. But once we agree on this, we have already left behind Mosley. Mosley's fundamental challenge to Heinrich is that there is no exchange relation or exchangeability in Marx's analysis of the commodity prior to chapter 2. Quote, the fundamental critique presented in this chapter of Heinrich's interpretation of chapter 1 of Kapital is that Heinrich mistakenly argues that the subject of Marx's analysis in chapter 1 is not the commodity, but is instead an exchange relation between two commodities, which he interprets as the abstract end result of exchanges between the two commodities and money on the market. I argue, to the contrary, that acts of exchange on the market are not considered at all until chapter 2, the process of exchange. And I argue that there is no convincing textual evidence to support Heinrich's unusual interpretation of exchange relation as the subject of Marx's analysis in chapter 1. Yeah, see, like this whole, like the inherent exchangeability of socially necessary labor time that precedes the individual commodity in the first place before it's even brought into relation with the other commodities through exchange, which is what Sahil was talking about. I don't know that Mosley would respect it. And that's why we both felt like Sahil was turning Mosley into someone who's bigger brained and more nuanced than he actually comes across, right?
Yeah, like Sahil was very clear when he said like the origin of this mode of production is the exchange. But once we have the ubiquity of the mode of production, then we can shift our focus back to the mode of production. And I appreciate that. But I have not seen Mosley say anything about this this retroactive operation that Sahil is very clear about. Like Sahil is like, yes, it's here. That's what's going on. I haven't seen that in Mosley at all. Which is why I'd rather talk to Sahil than read Mosley.
Yeah.
It's not to say that's not to say you shouldn't read Mosley, or I'm not going to finish reading Mosley or whatever. Like I went on and finished the Mosley book after we had a discussion about it. And my ultimate takeaway was, it's not that interesting. Like I would rather talk to Sahil than read Mosley or even talk about Mosley.
Or I'd rather just read Kapital and we do some lectures on Kapital as we go. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Right. So for are we on the next one? For Mosley, exchange relation does not factor in during the analysis in chapter 1. This is important because he takes Marx to be analyzing the commodity in a linear manner, starting with the supposed equal property two commodities have in common in their being as commodities in the abstract. This is his main argument against any exchange relation between them before they actually move into empirical exchange. This reading implies that Marx goes from the abstract form to the concrete form, from essence to appearance. So hold on. This is his main argument against any exchange. This reading implies that Marx goes from the abstract form to the concrete form, from essence to appearance.
He's saying that rather than reading dialectically, Mosley is reading linearly, which is kind of the problem that we were bringing up.
That is what we had said. Yeah. Marx's logic is, of course, fundamentally different from Hegel's logic, and this is a quote: in that Hegel's essence is idealistic, absolute spirit, and Marx's content is materialist, objectified, abstract human labor. But the logic of the derivation of the form of appearance from the more fundamental presupposed content is similar. This is not just a philosophical baggage. This is Marx's logical method in chapter 1. I quote these two passages to be able to put Mosley aside for now. Once we argue about commodities in an exchange relation, Mosley's line of critique that we arrive at the substance of value being an abstract labor prior to exchange is out of the picture for now. I think because Mosley does not want to factor in exchange relationality in developing, that means also understanding, the concept of commodities. Much more interesting is the short essay by Pathik Ghosh, footnote 1, because Ghosh develops a different dialectical approach to why you need the embryo of value in labor so value can realize itself. In my understanding, Ghosh develops the following. A. Value acts as if it is transcendental. B. By examining the structure of how value acts as if the structure of ideology becomes visible. In this sense, value is ideology, and values acting as if has real material consequences, just as ideology has. Fetishism is not that there is something to see behind, but that there is nothing, a lack, which you put something to see into. So that's why Sahil was saying that there's like this Lacanian aspect of Ghosh's piece. He said that to me earlier today. And I haven't read Ghosh's piece yet, so I'm stoked that like you all have, actually gone into Sahil's sources. I've been hoping that I can get to it. I just haven't had the time. All right. By this movement of value, C. By this movement of value to itself, value conceals its own material essence, abstract labor in production. D. In the concealment of its essence, value separates itself, from the truth. E. This is a process of negative dialectics. Value is, as substance, what it appears as not to be, abstract labor. Okay. That's beautiful, beautiful summary. You really broke that down like in a sort of logical syllogism, which really is helpful. Like this is like we've got this whole thing coming in at Theory Underground that is going to be like how to write theory and the writer's workshop. And I just have to like say hats off to Rudy for being clear in this. Everyone has been though. Everyone has been. Okay. If my reading of Ghosh is correct, then I go along with this, but with one addition. The whole movement of value, as described above, happens retroactively. I add this because I follow Zizek's development in addition to Hegel's dialectics, which I think is one of his greatest contributions. All right, now we have a quote from Less Than Nothing, where Zizek asks the question, where does Hegel stand with regard to this distinction between potentiality and virtuality? His answer is, quote, on a first approach, there is massive evidence that Hegel is the philosopher of potentiality. It is not the whole point of the dialectical process as the development from in itself to for itself that, in the process of becoming, things merely become what they already are or were from all eternity. It is not the dialectical process the temporal deployment of an eternal set of potentialities, which is why the Hegelian system is a self-enclosed set of necessary passages? The mirage of overwhelming evidence dissipates, however, the moment we fully take into account the radical retroactivity of the dialectical process. The process of becoming is not in itself necessary, but is the becoming, the gradual contingent emergence, of necessity itself. This is also, among other things, what to conceive substance as subject means. The subject as the void, the nothingness of self-relating negativity, is the very nihil out of which every new figure emerges. In other words, every dialectical passage or reversal is a passage in which the new figure emerges ex nihilo, and retroactively posits or creates its necessity. From the chapter Potentiality versus Virtuality, Zizek, Slavoj, Less Than Nothing, Hegel, and the Shadow of Dialectical Materialism. End quote. I am jumping here sections where he develops this process more fully and structured because this may already be TLDR. This culminates in Zizek arriving at the following. Zachary Smith said, wow, is this a reading of YouTube comments? Just notice the thumb up, down buttons. Yes,
Yeah,
dude.
man, but it's a reading of YouTube comments of a very select group of individuals who are generating YouTube comments that are worth reading.
Yeah. They are in the 0.001%. Yeah, I mean, they put more work into these YouTube comments than most students are putting into their reading reflections today, right? Just a real proud moment. Yeah, sit with that. Cheers. We're too tired to be doing this still. We really are loopy. All right, let's keep going. Where are we at? You want to read for a bit? I need a break.
Yeah, man. This culminates in Zizek arriving at the following. The logic of the Hegelian triad is thus not the externalization of essence followed by the recuperation of the alienated otherness by essence, but a wholly different one. The starting point is the pure multiplicity of being, a flat appearing with no depth. Through self-mediation of its inconsistency, this appearing constructs or engenders the essence, the depth, which appears in and through it, the passage from being to essence. Finally, in the passage from essence to concept, the two dimensions are reconciled so that essence is reduced to the self-mediation, cut within appearing itself. Essence appears as essence within appearing. This is its entire consistency, its truth. From the chapter, The Hegelian Circle of Circles. What does all this mean in relation to the topic at hand? In its appearance, value comes into being, and by coming into being, it retroactively posits its necessity and its substance, abstract labor in production, for it to be able to be. So the essence of value, abstract labor, appears only as essence within appearing. It is lacking. There is nothing to be found. Gauche, in contrast, writes in his essay, essence, of course, becomes accessible only when it appears. But that does not mean appearance precedes essence, or that the latter is an effect of the former. All those who insist that value, or the dialectic qua the principle of mediation, begins with exchange are falling precisely into such an error. It's only in exchange that value is accessed, so exchange precedes value. As a result, they mistake Marx's demonstration of the historical precedence of exchange over value as the former's logical priority over the latter. Qualitative equalization of qualitative difference, valorization, is not the effect of exchange. Rather, it's an integral dimension of the mode of organizing of production in its hidden abode that must be logically prior to exchange in order for it to be realized in exchange. But as Zizek develops, the appearance of being constructs essence, so appearance as being does precede essence. Applied to the being of value, this means that value is nothing as it appears and in appearing is. But value cannot be nothing because it is. It has to disavow, in a sense, its lack, its nothingness. So it has to be a not nothing, which it cannot be without constructing something it can always have been. This is abstract labor.
Right.
Here,
So
is
that to say that the abstract labor is retroactively posited as the condition? Yeah. It's like oh, value, it's working. Why is it working? Oh, and then we come up with the idea of socially necessary labor time.
Yes,
but it's not. It's not.
Retroactive.
But hold on. Let me walk that back from the idealistic way of saying it. It's not that we come up with the idea of it. It's just like, no, the system rationalizing itself.
Yes,
concretely and how it actually works. So we could say it's not the ontological situation like in a sort of trans-historical reality concerning value, but it is social ontology for this historical phase. Yes.
Yeah, and it's latching on to this abstract labor, which is like ultimately like that is why I like maintain no, it is just bullshit. It is this thing that only emerges out of this process. And Sahil can maintain the same position and we still are going to have like a disagreement. First of all, because it is fucking weird, but like it is this weird, like Sahil just said the strangeness, like it is this weird, strange process that I don't know. I guess it takes a willingness to be in this weird headspace where you're like, yeah, it's real, but also it's not real at the same time. And it's this thing that jumps out of the future into the past and blah blah blah, this and that.
Well, but
But
this
yeah,
is
that is.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he does disagree with it. Does he disagree with it by just going like, yeah, I don't, it doesn't have to be retroactive?
No,
or,
Sahil? No,
Yeah.
Sahil is like, yeah, it's totally retroactive.
Okay.
Well, and that's
Where's the disagree? Okay. We're going to get to the bottom of this.
the disagreement, I think, is more on my part because I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I want to move beyond that. And Sahil is saying, you can want to move beyond that, but we can't move beyond it. Like, I think that's where the disagreement is. Like, I want to throw it away. I want to come up with something new to call it, which is why I want to call it the waste form as opposed to the value. Like, I think that is the disagreement. I don't think this right here
So this is not the disagreement. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Right. Here, I want to use the concept of the objet pédial from Lacan to further express what I mean. The objet pédial always refers to something that the subject imagines it had. The objet pédial refers to its own wholeness once back there. By its coming into existence, the objet pédi posits its substance back there when one, being in this case value, was whole. But one was never whole, one was always lacking, yet had to lack even the lack. To not get into too much Lacanian mumbo jumbo, I want to make myself clear. Abstract labor, the substance, comes retroactively into being once value, subject, realizes itself in exchange relationality, its appearance. Value is not the objet pédi, it falls out of the exchange relationality of commodities. We cannot get out of the material reality that value cannot be freed of exchange because we lose value once we lose the market. Yet we can never go back to the fact that value retroactively posited itself into production and continues to do so. There's no embryonic form in abstract labor. Otherwise, to refer to the famous Marx quote in the Grundrisse, there really would have been a germ of human in the ape. I am referencing Zizek here. We only can retroactively conceive of the ape being a precondition for the human to emerge, and only retroactively can we see the substance of value in abstract labor, because value itself put it there by means of its becoming.
Does value just go away when the market just goes away, though? Rudy? No. I'm just putting this out there as a question because I think this is where Stone and time, labor, and social domination factors in so importantly, right? Like the abolition of commodification, the abolition of a market, the central management and distribution that replaces market exchange still assumes socially necessary labor time, right? So, like you don't get out of the law of value by getting out of a market because there's still a kind of exchange happening in any distribution ledger system. And any way of count. So, I mean, the point is that in such a system that I just described, labor is still going to be the basis of value. It's just going to be mediated differently, right? But I'm just putting that forward. I'm putting that forward as a that's how I understand the situation. Is that actually a problem for what you were saying, Rudy, or is what you meant something else? I'm just putting that out there. But what were you going to say there, Nance?
No, I don't think that's what he was saying. Like it's not like the exchange, the exchangeability, the fungibility of everything, like that is where the problem presents. But saying that, you can't then like, oh, well, then let's just get rid of money and let's just have like gold stars. That's not going to get you out of anything. I don't think that's what Rudy's saying here. But I guess it like that could be a small brain version of, I mean, no, not even could be, like it is a small brain version of saying like, well, it's exchange. Exchange is the problem. So if we just get rid of exchange, then we'll be fine. No, then you're just gonna be living in like Stalinist fucking like, yeah. Oh, instead of money, have a labor voucher. Like,
yeah. I don't think Rudy was saying the gold star thing, but
no.
Rudy, I promise I don't think you're a dummy. No, but it's
no. I'm not insinuating you're saying that either.
Get out of here, Nance. Stop putting words in my no.
Yeah.
No, but what I am saying is that like, yeah, there's probably different ways of conceptualizing labor vouchers and time chits. And I know that Marx is against it in one case and talks about being for it in some other case. I don't know, but also I'm suspicious of Marxist solutions in general. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I'm suspicious of that is the principle of each according to his ability, to each according to their need, because this once again assumes socially necessary labor time. It really does. I mean, in any broad society, when you take that principle of small scale hunter-gatherer tribes and then you try to administrate it, yeah, you're going to have to, how are you going to discern what a person's ability is without reference to the socially necessary average labor time? Like, you're not going to be able to do it, right? Like, I don't think so, right? That's what I'm getting at. But also, that thought is not intuitive, and that doesn't just come to us naturally. I can't act like I would have come to that idea on my own. That took trying to wrap my head around Pistone for a long time. I'm not even sure if it's all in Pistone or if I'm also combining him with some Caratani at this point. I'm becoming like this, like they're all, anyway.
Like Voltron, dude. But no, like, it is, yeah, it's a problem that's going to persist no matter what, like utopian vision you have. There will always be dishes that need to be done.
And there will always be a way of doing the dishes that is super inefficient and takes like 10 hours. And then you're like, but I worked so hard. I did 10 hours of dishes. And everyone else is like, yeah, but we could have done that in a half hour. Why do you think that by doing that, you don't have to do anything else for the rest of the week? Come on. We all did 10 hours of real labor. You're over here. So people will always kind of come back to that insofar as we compare and contrast against one another. The point is to make it so that comparing and contrasting doesn't become the basis of the kind of value that's it actually dictates life.
No, like let's come up with better questions to ask then. Like, why is that just the question? Why does everybody settle for that question? No, I reject that question. I want better questions to design my awesome future Star Trek future world.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I do think that's the only way to kind of avoid the traps. And that's not saying there aren't other traps, but like it has to be that grand project of coming up with a better question. You can't just be like, well, let's just find a better way to organize it. It has to be like, no, we need a different math, dude. We need to come up with something totally different. Because what Marx is laying out is the fundamental way this shit works. So it's like, yes, all that. Okay. So rather than trying to take this whole thing and make something cool, I want to do something totally different. I don't like your fucking Legos. I want to go play fucking Barbie and Easy Bake Oven or something else. I want to do something else entirely. Something totally different. Because this is all you're going to get. Marx did figure out the Lego. From top to bottom, left to right, inside, outside, up, down. Like, he's got Legos on lock. So if you're going to play Legos, this will be the end result.
And the reason why you still have to read Marx is because you'll still
we're
be
stuck in Lego world.
You'll still be playing with Legos and think you're not playing with Legos. That's the issue.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
R.I.P. Legos.
All right. This is section
2024.
This is section 4 of Rudy's essay. Another image for this thought. Wait, no, sorry. Another images for this I thought about. In the process of production, abstract labor promises the commodity that it will become a/the value. I write a/the because the signification of a value always leads back to the value. Why can this promise and why can this promise and has to be made?
Is that like how does this work and why does this work?
Yeah, exactly. Because the value cursed us once it came into being via its realization in exchange relationality. The curse of the value is all your products were and will and are and shall be me. The value. Forever. Forever. This does not mean that value becomes the non-lacking ruler from his exchange relation throne. He still needs an anchor point because he is lacking. He is not whole. This anchor point is how he relates to it himself back retroactively to what he always had to be, abstract labor. This is the specter, die Gespendigkeit, of thingness, Gegenständigkeit. This is why I want to argue circulation cannot dominate the analysis of both production and circulation as intertwined. Both relations need each other in the worst way. And in that sort of sense, Rudy, I think you're right that, so if we were to replace the word you'd used previously, market, and we were to say the condition of possibility for exchange or circulation itself, right? If you remove the condition of possibility for circulation itself, then yeah, then all of a sudden value's gone, which would be to say, like, you put like 100 hours of socially necessary labor time into the production of a product, but then that product gets lost on a desert island and is not in reference to society again for thousands of years, and it just slowly withers away. It doesn't have value. And if you were to end up on that island with it, it wouldn't have value in this sense. It might have value in a sort of human sense if it was a useful good to you, but no, it wouldn't have value in this sense without circulation. Yes. Think you're playing with Legos, but it was Mega Blocks all along. Oh, no, not the Mega Blocks. Dude, I would go to kids' houses, I'd be playing with their Legos, and then I'd find like the Mega Blocks mixed in. I get so mad. I'd be like, oh no. I'd be like, oh, this is a perfect piece. And then I'd be like, oh, son of a bitch, it's a fucking Mega Block. Piece of shit. I hated Mega Blocks because they just didn't work the same. But I guess Lego's patent ran out. And so now Mega Blocks, I think they're actually compatible with Lego now. So, poor kids in the future are in luck. All right.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that had Connects.
I play with
Connects were like dude, that shit was dope. I was like, yeah, let's make a robot, dude.
No, Connects was like, oh, you're not going to just play with plastic. You're going to be a little engineer now. Yeah.
Yeah. She was dope.
No, the worst Christmas I remember being very upset. Because I always wanted Lego. And my dad was like, always trying to get me to be into something else than what I cared about. And then my big present, it was like this big old box, I was so stoked because it sounded like Lego when I shook it, right? So I open it and it was a fucking Connect shit. And I was just like, I tried to pretend. I was like, thanks, Dad. Yeah. And then like I go upstairs and I'm like, oh no.
Crying and shit. Motherfucker, dude.
Yeah. I don't get an allowance. I don't get to go buy things at the store. I was a broke ass kid. And so I wait all year long to expand my Lego collection. And then it's like, oh, fucking Connects.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's the struggle, man. Yeah. No, but that right there, you know, that's sort of like, oh, you're going too hard in the Lego. You need something else. It's just like, I don't know. People have always been like, you're going too hard in the thing, Dave. You need to just taper it back a bit. It's like, I don't want to. I'm going to keep going with Kapital. Go away.
Yeah, dude.
Don't tell me I don't need to do this. I want to.
Time energy. That's time energy fragility right there, dude.
It is.
Like you're getting too good at Lego. I will never be that good. Therefore, you are the one with the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly how my dad was thinking about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's like, shit. All I had was red blocks.
Yeah, dude.
That's actually true though.
Back in my day, we had to cut our own Legos out of tree stumps. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, our Lincoln logs were actual trees. We had
Legitimate logs.
Yeah, we just built real log cabins because we were child workers. Yeah, there were no child protection laws yet. We were just little proletarians in Charles Dickens' world.
That's funny, dude. Their Lincoln logs are real logs, and they're building real houses.
Yeah. Houses you could probably buy for like, you know, $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh
yeah.
All
right.
Sorry.
It feels like it's 2 a.m. That's how loopy I feel, but it's just because I didn't sleep much last night. But all right. Okay. Where are we? No, we're right here.
We're right.
To bring Mosley back in, Mosley argues that value is not where he acts like he is in exchange. I kind of like acting like value's like some dude. This is fun. For Mosley, he is in abstract labor, but abstract labor is not concrete. So the value has to be a phantom, always already gone. Because of this, Mosley has to insist against Heinrich on using the term phantom-like instead of spectral, although he is working together with a German Marxist who could tell him that spectre clearly is a closer translation to the German term Marx uses in the text. Hold on. A spectre haunts because it cannot go, chained to the past where it never was a spectre. A phantom is always gone already.
Mm.
So that's really cool that Rudy knows that. And he's just like, yeah, why didn't his German buddy tell him that? Ultimately, I think if Marx developed abstract labor to be the substance of value. See, and by the way, I just thought of the two as synonyms. I didn't realize that one can't go and the other is already gone, right? The phantom's gone.
No, not even already gone, necessarily always gone, always already gone, not just already, always already gone.
Yeah, good point.
Whereas like spectral, yeah, like the temporality there, it's interesting. And it's something I never picked up on.
No.
Ever.
No, we couldn't have picked up on that. We just,
yeah,
too outside the language, you know? To bring, ultimately, I think if Marx developed abstract labor to be the substance of value, then Marx himself was wrong on this. This might be a clue to the tension within Marx's concepts. As he wanted to put Hegel on his feet, he remained stuck between Hegelianism, which for him was idealism, and materialism. It could be that the debate around the value form is this repressed aspect in Marx coming back tenfold. There are also ideological implications in this tension, as it is a tension between a Marxian method and a Marxist method. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Fuck yeah.
That, you know, I've run into plenty of Marxists on the internet who say they hate the term Marxian. No, bitch, you hate Marxians.
Mm-hmm.
You just hate that people can love Marx more than you do and not be a dogmatic Marxist. That's what you hate. I'm sorry, some people like to understand things and think that Marx is based, but not God daddy.
Yep.
All right, going back to it. Rudy says, I agree with you, Sahil, that there are far-reaching political consequences of this debate. If abstract labor was the substance of value, the embryonic form of its essence, then once we saw through this, we would be in the position of absolute knowledge. We would become the subject supposed to know, and this subject could then be made out to be the proletarians, because they are the ones producing the products in labor via their labor power, so they have in their hands the embryonic form of value. Of course, some workers are workers and some workers are proletarians. In some sense, we could go back to Marx's utopian fantasy of the right unfolding of history. Contrary to this, I think that the insight of Heinrich is that the workers interact with no substance at all, that the relation they operate in keeps them completely cut off from the process. They truly have nothing. Their value is their insistence that they do produce something of value. That is why they have to stop being their class, the non-class of nothing producers, ruled by the owners of nothing riches. Footnote 4. They produce only lack, value. Okay, final paragraph, and then we'll let Rudy in. We'll let him in because he's in the hall. He's ready to get in here, but we're just going to read the last paragraph before we bring you in, man. The juggernaut always already trudged along, parading the veiled thing called value, and all the human bodies had to throw themselves under its wheels, because that is where they always already used to be, because the juggernaut used to always already have that red road to always already trudge along, parading the veiled thing called value, and all the human bodies had to throw themselves under its wheels, because that is where they always used to be, and so on, and so on.
Yeah, man.
Wait,
That shit went hard.
Rudy, I was just going to let you in right now, and then you just left? What the? Get back. Come back here. Where are you?
Come back, Rudy.
Now,
Rudy.
he moved to the chat because no, come back here, man. I just wanted to finish reading it.
Message to you, Rudy.
Look, man.
Message to you, Rudy.
There's still
that
Marxist.
Shit went hard as fuck.
And it did. And I also just want to go back to what I just said about Marxists versus Marxians. I don't believe that just because you're a Marxist, you think that Marx is God Daddy, right? I don't think that Sahil, as a Marxist, thinks that. So I just want to clarify that because this is well, what I said could have been taken that way, right? My point is just like the people who have an issue with this, with any Marxian reading, because they're kind of Marxist, like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's all very specific. Yeah, man, Rudy, that was a fuck. I mean, when I saw that the first time, I was like in the middle of like 60 different things. And I saw that and I was just like, time, energy, fragility. Like, how the hell am I gonna, like, I think it was like Theo, Rudy, and Sahil all like having deeper, more thorough conversations than I could keep up with that like broke me. I was just like, I can't keep up with this shit. Like, how did you all get ahead of me? And then, I think it's not been too easy on Nance either. He hasn't shaved since that happened. You know, you could all go back through the Kapital Mondays. Like, he was clean cut. He was looking suave. He had his energy. He wasn't sick. He wasn't tired. He was fucking killing it. And then right around this time, like, we collapsed under the weight of what we had taken on. And we're just now kind of pulling ourselves out from under the gears, wiping the grease off of our glasses. And, should I tell people, I'm going to read you all until Rudy gets here. I don't know if he's actually going to come or not, but I'm going to read you all, Zizek's forward to my, my book Time Energy. but rewritten by AI to make it sound like Karl Marx. Now, none of you have actually heard the original, which is even better. Like, you can just get the book yourself if you want to hear what Zizek actually said. But let's try to find it. Okay.
Oh, need me to stop screen
No,
sharing?
I'm gonna share it to you so that you can do it.
By the way, the site is totally not fucking working right now.
Dude, see, I hate the site. I want to burn it down.
Yeah, like it's legitimately, it's been hanging in the loading this whole time.
Dude, I pasted. I know.
Loading.
I wrote out and sent a response to Mandy and Sean Middlestat recently, and then like the next day I came over and I looked, and it was still sending, and I was like,
Yeah, dude. Actually, Caesar, if you're watching this, get in the Discord, man. Because
dude,
I can't DM you. I can't DM you on the site, and he and I are supposed to meet up, and so see, I'm sure you are gonna watch this at some point. So when you are watching this, I hope you have.
Does Caesar keep up with
moved
the
along.
Capital Mondays?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah,
was.
no.
I don't know if he's seen all of them, but he was here for some of them.
Well, I do know the site administrator, and I will get a hold of him right now and then send you the contact info for Caesar. That I'll double check to make sure it's okay. I'll reach out to Caesar and say, hey, can I share your email with Nance?
Or you can just give him mine. That way.
Oh, duh.
Like,
boom, done.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, give him mine.
Oh, now Rudy's catching up. Okay. Yeah, let's do it then. All right. Do you want to read it? But you got to use your kind of like, you got to use your emotion to read this. So, okay, what this is, folks, I took Zizek's forward to the Time Energy book, and then I told Gemini to rewrite it to make it sound like Karl Marx. I think the funniest thing is what it thinks Karl Marx writes like. That's obviously that's the real joke here, because Gemini's idea of Marx is pretty funny. All right, let's go.
Listen, comrades, gather round and let me tell you a tale of two exhaustions. Not the pseudo-intellectual whining ennui. Oh, my fucking camera's about to die, dude. Hold on. It's getting too hot. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Listen, comrades, gather round and let me tell you a tale of two exhaustions. Not the pseudo-intellectual whining ennui of your latte-sipping bourgeoisie, but the primal, bone-crushing fatigue that grips the gears of this capitalist dystopia. This McCarricker, he emerges from the bowels of the factory, sweat-soaked and eyes bleary, but his mind's ablaze with the truth the chattering academics miss. They scoff at his time energy, chortle at his book like it's some trinket from a bourgeois bookshop. Fools! They're blind to the revolution brewing in the shadows, fueled by the very exhaustion they romanticize. Kierkegaard's angst? Child's play compared to the existential dread of a conveyor belt drone. Sartre's nausea? Try the bile rising in your throat after another shift at the Amazon gulag. Levinas' insomnia? Ha! When your dreams are haunted by unpaid bills and bosses' sneers, sleep becomes a luxury. Yes, Hahn talks of exhaustion, but listen closely. He's lost in the glitter of the hyperventilating professional, the burnout of the self-made entrepreneur. He misses the raw material exhaustion that twists your spine and gnaws at your bones. The exhaustion that whispers, this is not life, comrade. This is a slow, grinding death. But Here's the Lacanian twist, comrades. In this abyss, a glimmer of hope. We, the working class, the grease-stained and calloused, we're the only ones with any damn time energy left. While the bourgeoisie flounder in their self-inflicted positivity, we sneak podcasts into our ear holes, devour audiobooks between forklift runs. We're hacking the system, comrades, learning while they toady and posture. McCarracker's book is a Molotov cocktail hurled at the ivory tower. It's not just about an extra few bucks. It's about reclaiming time itself. Those large, reliably repeatable, energy-infused blocks stolen by the capitalist Leviathan. Time to read, to think, to plot revolution over a greasy spoon breakfast. This time energy is a freedom, comrades, a subversion that makes capitalism choke on its own fumes. This little book, it's dynamite packed in a lunchbox. Pass it around, comrades. Whisper its secrets in the locker room. Spread the gospel of time energy like wildfire. The future belongs to the tired, the wired, the working class with brains ablaze. And remember, to the pseudo-intellectuals, the latte-sipping, book-sniffing leeches, your exhaustion is a luxury, an affectation. Ours is the real deal, the engine that drives this damn system. And when we finally seize back our time energy, watch out, comrades, watch out. The gears of history are about to grind in a whole new direction. So put down your overpriced lattes, academics, and pick up a real hammer. Join the revolution, or get crushed by the gears you yourself set in motion. There you have it, comrade. A Zizekian remix of your text. Oh, there's the crank. The key is to crank up the revolutionary rhetoric. Sprinkle in some Lacanian jargon, and don't forget the occasional scathing critique of the bourgeoisie. And as always, speak to the power of the working class,
so
the
funny.
potential for radical change. Yeah.
That is so fucking
That
funny.
is-
No, this is mixed in. This is the Marxist one, not that one. But anyway, yeah, this is I was pasting them together, but no, this is the until the very end, this was the just a Gemini's idea of what Karl Marx talks like. And so for those who don't know, Google's Bard changed its name to Gemini. And you can actually get it on your phone, play with it for free. It has access to all my Google documents. That's probably bad. Fuck it, I don't care. I've been able to ask Google Bard's Gemini to look through all of my notes about something and then categorize what I said on these various topics, and then it spits out stuffs for me. So experimenting with its abilities in that way is one thing that's interesting. You know, obviously you don't want to have it do your writing for you, but this was probably the funniest thing that I read. Go back down to my favorite quote. It's right there. Time to read, to think, to plot revolution over a greasy spoon breakfast.
Greasy spoon breakfast.
That's too good. That's too good. Usually AI is pretty hit and miss, but that's fire. And it's even you might think it's kind of crazy that it's saying workers have time energy. Now, if it was being a little more theoretically precise, it would have said workers are the only ones with the relative time energy enough to be able to read books still. That's kind of what's being said. It's it's almost impossible for us to do it, but it's even more impossible for the PMC to do it. It's even more impossible for the ruling class to do it. That's the point. We're all fucked when it comes to that, but we don't have well, now I'm saying we very loosely here. We don't have the creative problem solver kinds of tasks or the care work tasks of either teaching or being on some executive committee or whatever. No, we're just doing mundane labor. And so we're able to listen to things. But of course, I qualify that by saying this is a very loose we, because I know a lot of you still have emotionally exhausting work, and you still are expected to do some kind of creative problem solving. And that probably is mentally taxing. And That's why some people who listen to Theory Underground content actually listen to it from like home, I guess, like not at work.
Yeah.
They take their dog on a walk and listen to it. You know, it's like, whoa, like to me,
Yeah,
that's
like when I started listening to Theory Plebe, I was like welding in a shop. Like, so I was all day long in a shop, and I could disassociate for the most part. I mean, there were definitely times when I had to like put my shit down and focus on the problem at hand. But for the most part, it was just like, oh, my body is being used right now, so my mind is free to wander and or educate itself. And you can't do that when you are engaged in these mental jobs versus physical jobs. So it is like walking the dog or eating dinner. Like, actually, for me, eating dinner is when I consume a lot of audiobooks and other lectures and shit, because when I'm eating, I can disassociate and I just like I eat, and so my mind is somewhere else. Um, but yeah, there still does seem to be a number of people who just don't care, and they're like, no, fuck it, I'm going to consume this content, all else be damned. Like people working in universities and writing and doing all this shit. So kudos to all you guys.
also.
Maybe pay.
Oh, sorry. No, kudos to who?
I was just like kudos to the people that still manage to make it work with these mentally and emotionally taxing jobs.
Yeah.
They still manage to engage in this shit.
No, man. I mean, they're the most recalcitrant, stubborn, or driven people, because most people from their kinds of career paths are forced out by the time energy fragility of just seeing the long form content that we do. Like they're like, oh, there's a higher level conversation we can't partake in, and then they just get mad and want to call us reactionaries or whatever the fuck, you know, whatever they can make up to feel better so they can go back to sleep, you know, with their like 20-minute NPR style podcast episodes or whatever. Yeah, it's a really good piece, you know, but also Zizek's forward itself is really good. And I think it's because of Zizek's forward itself being really good that AI was able to, you know, sort of add this flourish. But some of the flourishes are, it's just like plotting revolution over a greasy spoon breakfast. That's some word flourish that I would have never thought of, you know? But I mean, I'm not like a creative writing expert. It's been a long time since I've done something like that. So, you know. Cool. Well, that's that, guys. That was a way of filling time for Rudy to get here, but then he's catching up, and he'll never
Don't
catch up.
Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy.
Yeah, you're never good. It's impossible.
Rudy, that's a mistake. We want to, you know what? Catching up would mean us catching up on our sleep. That's what that would mean. We might have to
message him and just be like, hey, just jump in now.
Like, I don't even have his phone number. Wait. Oh, I do. Hold on. Yeah, let me just call this one. Hold on. Where is he?
Where you at, Rudy?
I've never just called someone on WhatsApp. Let's see if it works.
Oh,
The
honey,
juggernaut.
honey,
Always already trudged along.
You're my candy girl. So, first AI assistant
Rudy,
manifesto.
don't
Can we
wait.
get
Just
the
get in
refs?
here.
Can we get the refs to take a look at that? What do you mean by refs? I think I was just making a joke. I really like the questions it opens up. Those questions, man, I think, yeah, I like those questions that it opens up too. I think they're important questions. I think it is kind of weird. Maybe 5 years ago, people were like, yeah, learn to code because all your jobs are going to be automated, which is true. But I guess nobody really expected the white collar jobs to fall victim to automation before the blue collar jobs did. Like it is the case now that all these movie studios, all these video game studios, all these financial investment firms, like all these white collar places are laying off thousands and dozens of thousands, and in some cases hundreds of thousands of people. And the truck drivers and the plumbers aren't going anywhere, at least immediately. They will go eventually at some point, but right now, there's more pressure on what we just kind of qualified as mental work or creative work, right?
Yeah.
But then, are any of these people really asking, well, are these algorithms capable of doing this type of mental work or creative work even? And I think they're not. And I think there's good evidence to say that they're not. I think they're great tools to assist a skilled person in their labor. However, they cannot replace the skilled person. But it seems like all these firms and all these studios and all these places are just kind of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. They're like, no, these algorithms are good enough. So it definitely does open up a lot of interesting questions. And yeah, they're very useful tools. They're great for research. I think they struggle in creative writing. I think they, and not just say like just fiction, but even like writing, like real writing. They struggle when it comes to like generating any real output. But that's not all you do when you're writing. Like there's a ton of background work that you're doing when you're writing. That is research and that is kind of outlining and pre-writing and all these things. And these AI tools are very good at helping do that. So I think like
100%.
people tend to either go all in, and people don't even tend to go all in. It really is like managers, and like by managers, I mean like corporate policy and like the fiduciary responsibility and like boards of directors and shit. Like there's no single person. I mean, there are single people you could find, but it's not like there are a lot of people who are saying, yay, AI is so good at this task. But it's just kind of happening in boardrooms and stuff. But then there's this other tendency of people to want to fully reject it outright. And that's foolish. Like you're missing out on so much if you just fully reject these tools, because they're very useful tools. They can help multiply your output if you know how to use them, which is why it's cool to experiment with them, because they're new.
Yep. 100%. I think you're kind of like laying out a situation in which it's likely that the people who used to be actual professionals but are now degree holders that are like wildly overpaid, right? Are all going to be like, oh, look, AI can do what we do. And it's like, yeah, it can. Because you guys aren't real professionals. Like you don't have real occupations anymore. You're just a product of like the shell of what used to be an actual academic scene. Like, sorry. And so like they're kind of like seeing something that really can replace them. But, you know, sorry, your education was a bunch of bullshit. Sorry. So, you know, the party's gonna, you know, it's gonna run out eventually. The fucking fire festival, you know, is it never happened, you know.
Okay, I actually want to write now. Fire Festival never happened. Like the Gulf War did not take place.
No, I think
68 did not take place.
I think
Fire
someone
Festival did not take place.
I think someone did it. I think someone might have done it.
Did they? That's a great title, dude.
No, yeah, and I don't. It could have been Mikey. But it could have been. I don't think it was. But it could have been. I just don't remember. All right, now we're talking. We've been joined by Rudy. Pew 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 pew. Oh, can you get rid of the screen share there really quick?
Yeah, dude.
Nobody can see Rudy's logo there yet. Rudy, you got to turn your screen. No, turn it off. Turn it off. No one can see you yet. Let's see.
Gang, gang.
Wait, why is this not working? There we go. Hold on, let me turn mine off. Everybody
hiding non-video participants.
No. Now everyone can see it. There you go. Check that out, everybody.
Gang, gang.
So I made this special offer to subscribers. I said, you know, if you want one, you get the logo with your own name over it for your Zoom profile. So check that out. Feast your eyes. That's the new logo. It's got everybody's names on it, except for mine. I have TU on mine because it's like the official account or whatever. But I do have one that says Dave. I'm using that one on the Discord right now. So, all right, well, let's do it. Welcome, Rudy. How's it going, man? We finally got around to reading your shit.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a killer piece.
Thank you.
So
I don't know. Had you Sahil on earlier already?
Yeah. He said that
Did
whatever
you
we
mention
do,
that
he said whatever you do, don't read Rudy's contributions. He said I hate that guy. He said I think he smells bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you would kill me, like Brutus. You too, Brutus.
Dude, I hope Sahil and you get to link up together at the conference in October, so you guys can like sit together and smoke cigarettes. It'll be very, very cool.
But we talked with each other,
Okay.
and we at the end we agreed that maybe our conversation could have been a part of Capital Mondays because we kind of agreed. Like I yielded something. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth if he yielded something, but I agreed with him that if Heinrich really says that empirical exchange comes before production, yeah, then I disagree with Heinrich. But I said I have not found this in Heinrich yet.
I think wouldn't Karatani kind of say that and have a good basis for saying that? Of course, he would say force. No?
Yeah, that would be another exchange relation. That would be another mode of exchange relation. It would not be empirical commodity exchange.
No, it would not.
Right.
No, it would not. No, yeah. That's right. It
sort
of says symbolic exchange is always prior to production. At least at the, like, obviously you have to eat in order to reproduce and to be able to establish the original family bond or whatever. But anyway, yeah, that is where you get to the chicken and egg, like for real. But, so I'm glad you guys had that conversation. My question for you then is just like, how did it go? Or how has it gone? How has this developed, from what we just read, which was, it started with Theo sharing the most essential quotes, followed by, Theo was sharing those most essential quotes after we had read Sahil's older comment, right? So we read Sahil's older comment. Theo was like, but what about these quotes? And then Sahil was like, well, check it out. Blah, 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 blah. Gave us a great essay. You came in and you're like, I'm going to do a great essay too, but mine is even going to have a title. And then, and a poetic like outro, like one that has music playing to it. Like, I think probably like, I was like, whoa, it's like, I was thinking of like, God is an astronaut, or like animals as leaders. The CAFO song, like CAFO, animals as leaders, like at the end of that song, when it's just like that outro, like I was kind of thinking that's the juggernaut right there. Yeah.
This doom metal, post metal stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, where did it go from there? Because I didn't know that he had responded to it on the message board, because I never got either I didn't get the notification, or I've got too many notifications to keep up with, because the site is basically not functioning right now. So what is the status of this conversation?
We exchanged 2 essays. Like Sahil wrote one time back, and then I responded. And there I introduced the concept of Wert with a D, which is in German becoming, instead of Wert with a T, which is value. Because what I'm writing about in my essay is only capitalist value. And I think Michael Downs was mentioning this one time in a live stream at the end, like of a marathon, where he was like, maybe we need an autonomy, for like what is meant with like time energy and the value of time energy, because it could get co-opted. Because I at least think capitalism is very good at this, like commodifying everything, like this elastic quality. And so I started thinking about that, and I was like, okay, Marx wrote in German. Maybe there's a word in German too, and it is because werden, the verb for becoming, is very close to if you shorten it, you can say I become, ich werd with a D, and so this is also what I want to develop further in relation to time energy. Because I think in time energy, you have becoming and not value. You have Wert. And it's not something, maybe, this is my thesis, it's not something that capitalism can actually commodify, because it is in the future. And capitalism can never do this, what I developed in the essay, that it always relates this back. It's somehow, I was back there. Because becoming is contingent. And so that's
man.
That's really fun. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's like value is this spectral thing, right? That's always chained to the past. It's always posited retroactively. Whereas this process, this becoming, I mean, you could say it's hyperstitional. You could say it's forward-looking. You could say it's dialectical. You could say it's, contingent. You could say many words, but like, to really reduce it down, it's like capital is forcing us into this situation where we have to just accept these things that it's posited that from the past, and like they've jumped out of the present into the past. We want to jump out of the present into the future.
It would be a different specter,
Yeah,
like
the
specter of the future, not the specter of the past.
Yeah.
And so then Sahil wrote a short reply back, and there he was like, he cannot write back and forth so much because it takes a lot out of him. And so I said, yeah, man, let's get together and talk. Well, it was a great conversation. He's a really cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
I consider him a comrade. And what I yielded to him was, and I think this is the weakest aspect, and I knew this even when I was writing the essay, where I tried to make it empirical, that I said like, this is why sometimes commodities, actual empirical commodities, don't have value retroactively. And Sahil pointed out to me, and I think he's correct. He said like, yeah, but in capitalism, this is already presupposed, like it's not that empirical commodities lose their value ever. This is why they have to destroy commodities. And I think he's completely right on this. So this is what I gave him. and where I agree with him that if Heinrich says that this is what circulation is, then I would disagree, because I don't think it's empirical commodity exchange. This is what I try to emphasize: commodity exchange relationality.
I like that, man. I like it a lot. And when I was talking to Sahil, I tried to bring it up and I didn't articulate it at all. I don't know, stuck on retard mode, which once again, I'm there. But the exchangeability, the fungibility, what you've called the exchange relationality, the potential to be exchanged is this operation that is that's doing the work that posits this value. I wonder, and I don't know, and I think about it all the time. I wonder, is that changed by the fact that commodities are no longer produced to be exchanged? And again, they were never always necessarily produced to be exchanged or whatever, but like now the primary motor isn't this exchange relation. It's not the exchangeability. It seems to me to be the case that it's just on autopilot. They're now being produced so that so the machine doesn't stop. Like the machine has achieved some level of self-awareness that it knows if I stop producing, I die. So the exchange relationality isn't even the motive force anymore. It's what I always say, the conversion of resources into waste is what's driving, not the production of commodities for exchange, but simply the conversion itself. The machine is stuck in autopilot. Does that change anything? Do you think it changes? I don't know.
I think we reached this point, and Sahil and I agreed, I think, that this is what capitalism always was. This was it from the beginning, and I would say it's only this is the whole spiel about formal freedom, that like in this disavowal of like, no, we actually produce to get things, but I think like the productive capabilities only in this logic, only in this logic of value, the productive capabilities are an afterthought. They just like how Chris Cotron put it. Yeah, it's like we are the parasites riding on capitalism's back, and we get this breadcrumbs where we are like, great man, we have cell phones now, yeah, but capitalism is ruthless in this sense. This is what Sahir also brought up, that he said like, it doesn't care. Doesn't care as long as there's profit. This is the only rule. The only religion is value profit.
So I agree. It has always been that in a sense, but are we, I don't know, reaching a tipping point where it seems like, well, shit, here, just the other day I saw an article, Phoenix, where I live in Arizona, has been in a drought for my whole life, basically. We're running out of water. We've been running out of water. And I saw an article that was like, oh, the AI farms are consuming too much water. And like, so now people are going to have another moral panic about AI. If the ongoing moral panics aren't enough, now there's another one. Which my cynical perspective, I'm like, well, we've been running out of water. We're selling all our water to Saudi Arabia because they're investors and this and that. And that's true. And that's a bigger problem than AI. But it is the case that soon we will reach a tipping point where capital confronts the fact that it is running out of resources. And I think that changes things. And I don't know how.
I think it is related to a plethora of things. There's like the transhumanism is a part of it, I think, because it's like, I think like with the expansion packs, we have not yet reached Rosa Luxemburg, but I will still bring her up because I think she makes a great point when she's talking about imperialism, that she says, okay, capitalism always has to transform something. Yeah, like natural resources are part of this thing. It needs this material too. And so it can achieve this. I think it's like capitalism is so globalized that these are the three things that come to mind for me right now. One is space capitalism. This is the expanse scenario. Second is super war, like global, like a real, like unimaginable, like for us yet, world war, where it's like, man, bombs flying wherever the fuck. So you have less people, capitalism can continue. Yeah, you have in a certain way, um, what is it called in English? Like you have made room again. Less resources are necessary. And the third thing is going inward, like going deeper into what a human is and changing this and making new room for like valorization in the human itself. And I think this is what we already see with like the minimal gap, like the gap between production and reproduction in like data production is like consumption and production. They get like this, I think, in when we consume the internet, like right now.
Guys, I think this is a fascinating conversation, but I want to let the audience know that this is just a taste of what's kind of always going on in the hallway channel at the subscriber Discord. If you want to become a subscriber, get on that. There's a link in the description down below. If the description says anything about becoming a subscriber via the app, don't take it seriously. Don't listen to it. Don't do it. Don't trust it. No, do it via the website. The website is about to undergo major changes. The Discord is what we're using for communication in the back channels. And you'll want to get in there because, yeah, you could just hop in on the, voice or video call and listen to Nance and Rudy continue this conversation where it's about to go, actually. We're about to go back there. But before we do that, I do want to, of course, let you both say some closing remarks. I've got a couple things that I would like to say about what you were all just talking about. I think that all of those scenarios are likely. First of all, Rudy, that's the sad, scary, weird thing about living today. But the running out of resources part, it's like running out of reliable, tried and true kind of depositories or repositories. Is not the same as actually running out because, space has more gold in it than the earth does. Space has more water in it than the earth does. There's entire galaxies of water. We've been lied to our whole lives about what's in space. And I don't know if it was lies or if it was just ignorance. It was probably ignorance, at least for the people in my neck of the woods who are telling me that there's no water on other planets. That's just ignorance. But when it comes to people in official positions, representative, mouthpiece kind of positions, it's like they had no business saying things like that. That's the stupid. I remember being like a kid. This is how I was a philosopher, right? Because when people said there's no water on other planets, there's no life on other planets, I remember just being like, you've not been there though. And then I'd be like, I just think about it. I'm like, I just look out and be like, how many stars? How many planets? And I'm like, bullshit. Fucking bullshit. You can't tell me that. You don't know that. That's so silly. Why would you be so sure? And so, I feel like politics is such a human thing, human all too human, and that we're used to a mode of political discourse that assumes the earth scale. And yeah, I'm basically saying we need to prepare for a million years of space capitalism, where the culture war really is the base, like, because the expanse model is the model, and these different sort of, this is why, I think that having like a guy like Malcolm Collins on is interesting, because like he is like the prophet of the Mormon spaceships. Like he actually is if you read his Pragmatist Guide to Crafting Religion, it really is like what he's describing with the idea of a cultivar is the setting up space conservative spaceship, but the thing is he thinks that there's going to be like this pluralist, cyborg side versus this like, non-pluralist sort of hegemonic, not evolutionarily like adapting kind of, thinks themselves as natural side. I think that it's a four-dimensional, or there's two axes on this compass, and one axis is between naturals and cyborgs, and of course we could always problematize that, but using this loosely for now. And then the other axis would be between these pluralists and these hegemons. And the thing is does the universalist position have to play any one side of that compass? I don't think so. I think that it has to learn how to be genuinely particularist in its universalism, which is why the Dasein Project matters. And that means like we have to pave some way forward where humans can agree to disagree, tolerate each other, help each other out in deep space, because our children's children are going to be out there, and I don't give a fuck what religion they are. I want them to help each other out. I don't give a fuck what their gender is. I don't want them to blow up each other's spaceships over some bullshit. But we could say, oh, well, but that the means of production is the base, though. Yeah, but the condition of collective ownership is always going to be some kind of a particularism, right? Some kind of a like, oh, we value something more than just the fact that we're workers, right? So this is like the sort of weird particularist realism shit that I've been on lately. That's not like, happily affirmative, but is more just like, okay, but how do we sublate it? All of that just to say, I think taking resource scarcity on this earth as the serious issue of the moment. I know that's what you were talking about, Nance, because you were nodding your head earlier.
Yeah.
So I know that's where you're at. But yeah, that really is that is why the space becomes the frontier. And it's like, I don't know. I don't see a lot of other people taking it that seriously. They're all like playing shock troops to Kapital from 150 years ago, while in the meantime, Musk and fucking Bezos are off planet. So, okay. And what's next? Right? Are my kids going to be working in the belt, or are they going to be actually doing some Star Trek shit? That's the real, issue. And my kids won't be either, because what we're talking about is like a struggle for hundreds of years before we can even get out of the, solar system. So, but of course, AI potentially unlocks all kinds of new possibilities. Everything we know about physics keeps getting thrown into question. And not only is everything we know about physics being thrown into question, but now we have amazing tools, like better tools than we've ever had. Like that's why AI matters, is because it's like, okay, a real mathematician knows how to run a logarithm, like, and do it by hand. But of course, if you give that mathematician a calculator, oh, okay, now they can just fucking boop, doop, and they're on to the next thing, right? Well, yeah, if the person is not a real mathematician who actually, and they don't actually know how to solve a logarithm, there's only so much they could do with the calculator. And that's the level of the kind of deprofessionalized PMC that we're talking about that can be replaced by AI. But humans who always prioritize understanding before they become reliant on the tool are going to just become superhuman fucking gods. And everyone else will become sad little robots. And This is a decision we have to make at the individual level today. Every day that we wake up is to take action and just say, I'm not going to be this little robot thing. I'm not going to fucking do it. I'm not going to just doom scroll. I'm not going to just, right? And it's like a leftist weakness that I see all the time, right? It's just like this constant appeal to, well, if everybody doesn't get it, then what's the point? Or what if everybody can't make it? Bitch, it's already done. Most people are robots. You have to cut. If you want to raise the general level, you have to be something more than a robot, right? And that means like understanding the means. I'm not saying seize the means. I'm saying you have to understand them, you know? And that's what critical media theory is all about. That's what critical doxology is all about. That's what our time energy seminars, this is what the Capital Mondays stuff, this is what, I guess we're calling it CMC Prime is all about. There's weekly and monthly things happening at Theory Underground. Get involved. There's courses coming up really soon. I've got too many updates to really get out in one stream. The Totality Infinity thing is not happening until August, by the way. I've bumped it back, just to give myself some more time because I didn't foresee having to restructure my website and blah, blah, blah. But, I'm feeling really good about it. I'm feeling really stoked. I'm proud of you and Sahil for, the back and forth that you guys have done. I'm hoping you'll both be able to make it to the conference in Mexico at the end of October. We're doing it in a place that's pretty easy to fly into, wherever you are in Europe. Well, I know where you are in Europe, but I'm just saying wherever anyone is, really, Stu could come from Hong Kong to this location, probably easier than a lot of places in the US, right? And so we chose a place that's easier to get into and out of, but is also easier to do epic shit in, right? I'm not going to show you all pictures of the mansion, but basically for $200 a day, we're able to get a place that's a literal mansion. So it's like, people won't have to go back to a hotel afterwards. They'll have their own room, right? So, I wish that there was a splash page already for the conference and the calls for proposals. It's one of the big things that I'm working on in the background. But stay tuned for it, everybody. And in the meantime, if you're interested in the Capital Monday shit, tomorrow we're getting our first lecture from Sahil. And if you can't afford it, don't worry about it. It will get published on the following Sunday. And with that, I'm about to close this thing out. Last words, either of you?
I do. Just everyone who's keeping up with what's gone on so far with Capital Mondays and everyone who's involved in the conversation. First of all, I would like to commend you. It's not the easiest conversation in the world to really have. Like, sure, it's easy to be like, yeah, I'm a Marxist and capitalism sucks. My small children repeat that all the time. They're like, capitalism sucks. I'm like, yes, I've trained you well. But that's easy to do. But to actually sit down and like draw it out and have, these questions and these disagreements and it's not easy. And we are trying to do it, and we will fail at some places and we will have successes in other places. We're by no means perfect. But we're trying to do the thing, and we're trying to actually do it. And thank you all, those of you that are along for the ride. And yeah, like if you're down for the cause, fucking come on, man. But don't bring that bitch shit. Like if you can't hang, have some self-awareness, be like, that's not for me. There's a lot of other dope shit that's actually going on right now that, like, this is hard mode. And if you can't play on hard mode, take some time, get good, and then come on.
Dude, I feel like I can't play it hard mode, but I'm just doing it anyway. I'm just crying as I go. But yeah, but I'm not going to complain.
That's the thing. No one can actually.
That is the thing. Nobody can.
I would say, because today in another course, someone brought up like a hopeful take. And I think it can all seem really gloomy. And I'm also this kind of like, one time you spoke with Sahil about it, like this doom switching all the time between like, it's all fucked, man, whatever. Let's just like, you say, Nance, eat Cheetos and wank off, jerk off. But I think we cannot know, and this is why I brought in the Žižekian dialectics. And maybe he's wrong on this, maybe it will get developed further. But I think so far he makes a strong claim among other people to say we cannot really know what this means. We can speculate about the future, but we will not know, like, will these people, for example, actually be superhumans? Or what is the lack they will encounter? And can we really get out of sociality or not? And I think this is why I'm still convinced in some sense about the idea of communism, that I'm like, okay, we are social beings. I do not want to live alone in the desert, you know? And I think if someone wants to not do hard mode and do like soft mode, you can read great fiction about this. It would be you can read The Expanse, you can read Cixin Liu's Three-Body Problem, which goes into like how will people on spaceships, is it actually in some way socialism, because it would not be possible to exploit you maybe in this way. And third, Stanislav Lem's The Futurological Congress is, I think, a masterpiece, which is kind of saying like, maybe it will go inside, you know, like further dig into, like, we are so medicalized at some point that it's like, I don't know, man, Matrix, but with drugs.
And Clara in the Sun is more like in 50 years, maybe 20 years. Clara in the Sun is a book that Ann and I both read recently, and then Marx Nance read it. Wow, that was a cool slip. I called you Marx, man. Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I told Nance one time, like, the relationship here is not Marx to Engels between the two of us, because we're both too shitty to be either one of them. You know, he's too broke to be Engels. I'm too stupid to be Marx. But you know, like, but no, this goes to show you. I guess my unconscious has you in the Marx position anyway. So there you go. But we need to have a sci-fi club. It's like sci-fi actually reading club at Theory Underground. We've talked about it a whole bunch, and I would love if you would take those right there, and maybe instead of like formalizing it and actually scheduling it and really like doing it proper, we could kind of do it lazy for now, where it's just like, hey, has anybody else read this book? Or if anybody else reads this book, hit me up. And so what I'll do is like, I'll start like a channel where you could share those, and everyone's like, hey, I'm always down to talk about these books, is kind of like the way you can do it. Like anybody who comes in is just like, hey, I'm always down to talk about this, by the way, you know, because I think there's a lot of books that we're all like sitting here chomping at the bit to talk about. And if you just have like one friend that you go to with all that shit, chances are they can't keep up with you anyway. So you got to have like some kind of a community where you're like, yo, I really want to talk about this fucking shit. And then someone's like, oh yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm down. I just read that.
Dave is saying this because I just got done talking his ear off about the differences between Foundation and Dune. Yeah.
No, dude, I know. Hey, I'm signed up to treat it like those are the two best sci-fi epics ever made, and keep just grinding on them to understand them. Though, of course, Expanse is right up there too. Like, so I'm down to. I love it.
You know, also Hanu Rajinami, the Quantum Prince out of, I can't say his name. It's Finnish or some shit. But the Quantum Prince, that's another great series that's relatively new that I think is great that everyone should read. Anyway, you know what Terrence does when he's not doing theory and being a badass, right?
Being a badass doing sci-fi?
Yeah. He's a sci-fi badass.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. What's his podcast? Give me 1 second. Let me look up the podcast.
Sensei is the best.
Limey Redneck, who's been here, by the way, I think most of the stream, said, is Foundation on TV good compared to the books?
No, but it is still enjoyable.
Yeah. See, I've been enjoying it. I usually fall asleep after the first half hour because I'm too tired to watch things. People are like, "Oh, you should watch this." Cool. I'll fall asleep to it. Like, yeah, what do you want from me?
But the books are like, what he gets at in the books is way better because it's like, I would say Dune is theology, Foundation is social critique, yeah, like materialist critique.
Yeah, man. There, it's Foundation is space Marxism, and Dune is space, reactionary theology. But yeah, they're both great. Anyway, SF Audio with Jesse Willis, I guess, is what it is. That's the podcast that Terrence is involved in. That it's just a science fiction podcast. Shout out to Terrence. Shout out to science fiction readers and writers everywhere.
Yeah.
And also, Three Body Problem is a TV show. It's currently a Chinese TV show that you can watch on PBS. And I think Netflix is making a Three Body Problem show, which it's gonna suck, but I'm gonna watch it anyway.
My favorite Chinese TV show is TikTok. I'm kidding. So Rudy, that was your closing statement. Did you say did you say yours already, Nance?
Yeah.
I gotta go. We gotta go. We're done, everybody. Peace.
We cannot do direct revolution, but the only way to lay the foundation for it is to do what you are doing to move the underground. It's a theoretically correct title.
Welcome to Theory Underground, where workers with earbuds can find genuine liberation from necessity.
Research at Theory Underground focuses on what is most important for understanding our current situation. Theory of the subject, capital, time-energy theory, critical media theory, CMT, and the most essential critiques necessary for understanding why the theory, ideology, and common sense of influencers left to right misses the mark.
Theory Underground is a publishing house as well as lecture course and social media platform.
You've been reading Underground Theory.
Yes.
And
amazing book. I'm a publisher and an editor. I run and review books. Literally, it's my living. This is the best edited collection I've ever read.
Jesus Christ.
Seriously.
This is a little experiment in what I, David McCarricker, can pull off without relying on the academy or the algorithmic dictates of the attention economy. I believe that I am, like so many others, pioneering a future in which educators can form learning webs that will make learning as a way of life enjoyable and emancipatory. However, before these tools become accessible, they have to be experimented with. That's why I built my own website and app using nothing more than my own saved wages, 5 patrons, and some small classes of students over the last year. Of course, I also have had my wife Anne's moral support and help with accounting so that I don't get in trouble with the IRS or whatever. In less than a year, Theory Underground has already put out 8 courses, 2 books. One, my book, Time Energy, and the other, Underground Theory, which has over 30 contributors, including works written by students at Theory Underground, some of my fellow travelers, and colleagues in the broader universe of Underground Theory. Beyond the books and courses, though, you will also find interviews, reading exegetical reaction sessions, and live weekly events for working class autodidacts, independent researchers, and renegade academics. These include a variety of clubs and cohorts that meet on a weekly or monthly basis. If you want to get involved, there are 4 main subscription levels.
Think of it like a gym membership, but for your mind.
The point is to make learning, practice, and theoretical comprehension a way of life. If I can triple my subscribers in the next 2 months, I can quit my gig at Amazon and focus on this work full time. All I need is a few more people at each of the levels, or a couple big-time patrons who just want to see it happen. Right now I am doing a patron and site subscriber drive, so excuse the commercial. But if you end up really liking what goes on at this channel, consider signing up soon. I hope that you either will or have enjoyed the program And also make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and leave this playing in the background all the time while you're doing other things.
Playing long-form Theory Underground content in the background while you do things has, in the near future, been scientifically proven to emancipate minds from the functional illiteracy imposed on workers by the structural stultification of time energy. This is achieved by reterritorializing circumspective concern.
Also, to some degree, it is for the algorithm.